Hello all and welcome to my channel devopsmela and welcome to my Azure DevOps series. So let me give you a quick introduction about this complete series and what all topics we are covering. So firstly guys, this is 85% practical and only 15% theoretical whenever it is required. Okay, we are starting with what exactly is Azure DevOps, what is DevOps, what are DevOps methodology, the what is Agile method, what is Scrum method. Then we'll focus on all Azure DevOps services such as Azure Boards. There is a in details explanation practical about Azure Boards. Then we have Git. I have covered basic Git first. Then we'll jump on Azure Git, wherein I'll explain all the functionality like what is cherry picking, what is pull request, how do we do a revert, how do we create a branching and merging strategy. Once that is done, we'll jump on to pipelines. We'll create build pipelines, multiple build pipelines. Like I'll be creating a classic way. We'll create a classic way build pipeline as well as we'll create a YAML pipelines. Post that, we'll create a release pipeline and we'll see how things get deployed on Azure portal. Before that, we'll understand what is service connection and how do we create a service connection. Okay, so for the pipeline section, I have multiple projects. I have touched based on Maven, Java Maven. I have created a .NET application project, so please have a look on it. And at the end, we'll understand what exactly is how do we create our own agent pool. So all this practical would be done on Azure Pipelines, but later I'll create my own agent pool and I'll show you how to create your own agent pool and how to work on those. Okay, that's it from this introduction. If you like it, please share and subscribe, and please follow on with my complete Azure DevOps tutorial. Thank you. Hello all and welcome to my channel devopsmela. So in this video tutorial we'll talk about Azure Boards. So Azure DevOps is something getting very famous and it's widely used nowadays by the DevOps team. Okay, so Azure DevOps provides you a complete set of tools. Like we have build and development tools over there, we have boards, we have artifact storage, we have testing, everything. So that is what under one umbrella we find everything. So in this tutorial we'll cover Azure Boards. So in Azure Board there are multiple work item projects what you can create. So we'll focus on Agile methodology and we'll create a Agile project in Azure DevOps Board. And I'll walk you through what are the options, what is the product backlog item, what is a backlog item, what is a user story, what is a bug, and how to track those things, and how to query your user story and the status, and many more. So we won't talk what exactly Agile methodology would be or what is a Scrum methodology. It's altogether a different topic. But just for your understanding, just for the sake of this video, Agile method is an iterative based software development approach where the software project is broken down into various iterations. Okay, each iteration has phases like waterfall model such as requirement gathering, design, development, testing, and maintenance. The typical duration for each iteration is generally around 2 to 8 weeks, but depending upon project to project, these iteration dates can be minimized to maximized. Okay, so let's directly jump on to Azure DevOps hierarchy, work item hierarchy for Agile. Okay, so this is what Azure DevOps work item hierarchy would look like, wherein we have three important segments. Not important, I would be say the vital segments for tracking work, like the portfolio backlog. We have a backlog, then we have a issue and bug tracking. So this backlog will have two options, user story and task. This is an actual work what a developer does. So tracking that information, we create user stories and we create tasks. Okay. Portfolio backlog, we have epic and feature. So these two options are mainly for grouping work item for large scenarios. We'll take an example and we'll take a use case while demonstrating the entire thing. Then it will be more clear. Issue, if there's any issue, we create an issue, and if there's any bug, so we can create a bug, and we can track the bug and the issue. Okay, so let's directly jump on to Azure DevOps board. Okay, so we directly jump on to dev.azure.com because and we'll do a complete lab session starting from creating a Agile project. So once you log in, just click on new project, just name it as Agile project. Any description if you want to give, you can just give the descriptions. I'll keep the visibility as private. Advanced version control, will use Git as my version control. There's one more version control as TFS, that is Team Foundation version control, but we'll stick with Git. Work item progress, it's an Agile project what we are building, and so we want the work item process should be Agile. Basic is a default. If you want to change it to Agile, you can just select Agile from here, and if you want to change the default option to Agile, even that is possible. Okay, let's create a project. So once this project gets created, we have a repo gets created automatically, a team gets created automatically. So I'm the only member right now of this team, and if you go and look in the repos, we have the repos created. So we will directly jump on to boards. Again, we'll see the hierarchy which I just discussed. We'll see that hierarchy now. Okay, let's wait. It's too noisy out here. Just let me close all my windows. Okay, so let's click on this new work item. So whenever you want to create a new work item, this is a place from where you can come and create. There are multiple ways of creating new work item, but this is the simplest and the straightforward way I would suggest. Okay, so firstly we'll create an epic. Again, epic, as I said, it's grouping of large scenario. So let's take an example of a sales app, sales login app. Okay, that's a sales application. Okay, this is a large scenario. So we have a sales application. Under sales application, we could have multiple other scenarios. So this is a large scenario what I thought of, a sales app for client log. Uh, let's keep it as simple, sales app. Okay, if you want to assign to someone, you can just directly assign it from here. The state is new right now. The state would the state would change once we save the epic. This is the area where my project is. This is the project name. Iteration and all I will talk about when I'm setting a duration and when I'm moving my user story from one iteration to second iteration. This is where I'll talk about this more. Reasons, again, we'll have multiple options over here. For now, we'll just select new. Description, again, this should have a detailed description what exactly the sales app and what are we doing in this epic, and those information will come over here. Discussion is more of, if you want to discuss something about this epic, you can put all the comments over here. Or if you want to like call out to someone like some developer or a scrum master or a product owner, you can just use a at sign, and the developer name or the scrum master or the member of the project will come over here. The members of the project name would reflect over here, and you can give kindly look into it. Okay, so this is how we can put our discussion. So there are multiple options over here. Priority, this is more of 1 2 3 4 priority. So if it's a critical epic which needs to be done within the first or second iteration, so we can select the priority. Risk, we have high, medium, low. So depending upon what is the risk, you can cover. Efforts, how many days it will take like how many hours, and those efforts can be noted down over here. Business value, if it's like if you have any business value defined, that can be over here. Time critical, again if it's a critical, you have selected a critical, so how critical it is, you can jot down the timings over here. Start date and end date, so we are not setting a start date and end date right over here. When we define a iteration, at that point of time we'll set a start and end date. Classification, we have it for business, value area is business, architectural, so we keep it as business. So this is how a typical epic page looks like. On the right hand side we have deployment. Deployment is nothing but when there's a build and release process running, and if you want to integrate that, we can link those directly over here. So all the status update, your build status, your release status, you get a quick glance at this particular location. Development, you can link your repository, your branches directly over here. Related work items, yes, this is an important. When we create a feature, user story and those things, we can directly start linking our works over here. Okay, let's save it. Okay, now if you see, we have multiple options now, whether this epic X started, active, resolve, close, removed. Okay, now if you see this is a history, so whatever changes we do to this epic, everything will get noted over here. So it's like a quick look if you want to see who has made the changes, who has updated the epic. Coming back to this is link, so whatever linking you do, like your branching, your your child feature, your user story, everything will be reflecting over here. Attachment, again it's a very important part. If you want to attach any code base, if you want to attach any validation, any rollback, or any scripts related to this epic, or if you want to attach any architectural diagram or something like that, you can directly come and attach things over here. Okay, so this is all about epic. Let's go back. So there's a second way of creating items, the work items. So we'll create a feature now. So feature is more of, it would be a child for this epic. So the link type is child. So feature is something, a semi-large scenario, I would say. So let's consider as feature as login page for sales app. So we have a sales app, what we are creating. Under that, my feature would be login page. There could be multiple features what we can create. So this is a typical scenario what we can think of. Okay, again the feature has the developer is already assigned to it, and if you want to change it to any other developer, or the feature is mostly created by a scrum master or the product owner. So they basically, this gets assigned to the product owner or the scrum master, and the developer gets assigned mostly to the user stories. So we'll talk about that, but from here, if you want to change it and if you want to assign it to someone else, you can easily do it. Okay, again we have the same options: description, discussion. So this description would be more about the login page, how the login page will look, what will be the design, what are the options and the fields we need on the login page. So that information would be rightly placed over here. Okay, again priority, risk, efforts, business value, start date, end date, everything can be defined from here, and we can link all our development deployment process over here. So once you link your development, and with that branch, if you have a pipeline running, so that will auto reflect over here. Okay, related work, so we have a parent, it is linked to my epic sales app. Again history, now if you see this link, it has one link. So because we have added my sales app as my parent, that's why it is reflecting as one. Let's quickly save and close. Okay, so if you come to work item, we have epic created right now, then we have a feature created. For this feature, we'll have one more And now for this feature, we'll create a user story. Now user story, something will be assigned directly to a developer. Okay. And the developer is the one who would be working and developing this particular module. Okay. So the user story and task is something on are the entities on which a developer works on. Okay. So what exactly, so this is a login page for a sales app. So what it could be, some the user story would be something designing login page for sales app. So the first is designing a login page for a sales app, and we can assign to a developer. So this is something a scrum master would be assigning to a developer. Okay. And we can give a description, we can acceptance criteria. This is a new field which is added to this user story. So how, look, what will be the acceptance criteria? So like the login page should have below fields. I'm just giving an haywire example, like username, password, submit button. So these are the acceptance criteria for a login page. So based out of this, the login page would be created, and based out of this, the developer needs to design the login page for a sales app. Okay. And we can have a multiple tags. So over here we can have, this is for development, so we can have a dev tag as well. So this tagging is very important. So when you're doing a query, or if you want to highlight something, so this tagging we can use of these taggings. Okay. Now if you see over here, we have one more field, story points. Okay. Rest, priority, risk in the business area remains same. Everything remains same. The new field what we see is acceptance criteria and a story point. So story point is again very important. So a velocity graph and a forecasting is done using the story point. The story point could be in hours, or it could be number of days. So how many days will require to complete this designing of login page? So a developer will has to answer. Like for example, if I say three days, so this story point could be in hours also, it could be 3 hours, it could be in number of days. So it is something totally a discussion how you want to measure a story point. So typical example of story point would be number of days. So like example, the developers say I would take 5 days to design a login page, so I keep it as 5 as my story points. Okay. Now we can, there's nothing linked, but we want to link it to an existing work item. Okay. For for this, my parent would be the feature what we have just created. Okay. Login page for sales app. So this is a parent for this user story. Okay. So this is what a user story looks like. Like coming back to my work item, let's save this change first. Okay. So now we have a epic, we have a feature, now we have a user story. So this is how we break our backlogs. These two are my portfolio backlog, and this is an actual backlog on which the actual work would be done. Now a developer comes in and he wants to subdivide this designing page into more, so he can start creating tasks for himself. So this is something a developer would be doing, a task creation. A task is nothing but it's a small work what developer would be doing on daily basis, like designing, like it would be like R&D, research and development. On the day one is doing a research and development on sales app login page. So this is a typical example what a developer would be doing. So on daily basis he would be jotting down whatever work he is doing, and he'll start creating n number of tasks. Okay. So this is day one what he does. Again he creates one more task, like front end development front-end designing of sales app. Right? So this is the second task which he has assigned to himself. So this task would be basically created by a developer itself, wherein he will be creating multiple subtasks for doing his day in day out work. The rest, the portfolio backlog, the feature and everything would be the feature and the epic would everything would be created by a developer. Sorry, not by the developer, it would be mostly created by the Scrum Master or the product owner. And the user story mostly created by a Scrum Master itself, and developer would be creating n number of tasks to complete that user stories. So this is a typical how a user story would be created and n number of tasks would be created under it. Okay, so this is all about the work items. So we have multiple options over here. We have work item, we have boards, backlogs, sprints, and query. So let's have a look on those items as well. So if you go in boards, so the board is, if you look at this board looks more similar to a Kanban board. So yes, so Kanban board, this is not just similar, this is exactly a Kanban board what Microsoft has also integrated with Azure DevOps. Okay, so this starts horizontally from left to right. As soon as the user starts working on this user story, we can just come and drag this over in active. So the drag drop works. So if you see, the status has changed to active. So this will start keep moving as from active to resolve, from resolve to close. Okay, so this is how a typical Kanban board looks. So this will give you an overview of your entire work item. Your user story and task will get listed over here. So if you want to get like which all user story is in active mode, you can come and check over here. What all user story are resolved, what all user story is closed, so everything. So it's a overall architect view of your user stories and your task. Okay, now if you come back to backlogs, how your backlogs look. So your backlogs will have all your user story, all your task under it on the left hand side. On the right hand side, it has the planning, where it will show all your iteration, because it's an agile project what we are working on. So we have iteration over here, iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3. So agile project is basically used for bigger projects. If you have a longer wherein it takes a longer iteration to complete any work, so basically at that point of time we switch to agile project. Okay, so as if now we have not set up the iteration dates, like what will be the iteration and how many weeks iteration we are following. So we have not done that setup. So if you wish to do that setup, come into project settings, come into project configuration. Okay, over here you can set a date for your agile project. Okay, let's give a typical date like today's date, and let's give a 3 to 4 months date. So we have this much of dates for this project. We have defined this much of dates, and let's set an iteration. So let's give a for now we'll give a 1 week iteration, like starting from today 27th, and we can take this till 6. Okay, so we have set up first iteration from 27 to 6, so it's a 5 days working for us. We'll show you where exactly that is defined. So as of now we have set an iteration dates now. So if you see over here, we have a 5 days working. We don't consider Saturday, Sunday, but if you want to consider Saturday, Sunday also, go in this configuration team settings. Over here we have an option called working days. So by default Saturday, Sunday is removed. Okay, so the working day is only Monday to Friday, but if you want to change it, you can come and change it from here. Okay, one important part, in which iteration do you want to complete this user story? So even that can be defined. So we can just simply drag drop. So I'll just put it in my first iteration that this particular task, designing login page for the sales app, would be taken care in the first iteration. So easily drag and drop works over here. Sprint. Those sprints has a similar type of visibility. So at the first page, it will looks like a Kanban board to you, wherein you have a user story and you have two tasks. And so this is more of a task board. In backlog, we'll have again the same page wherein we can see all the backlogs in one single place. Capacity, if you want to define what the developer would be doing, like how many days the developer needs to focus on deployment, how many days the developer needs to focus on designing, development, testing, and requirement. So all those capacity per day, you can define it for your team. Analytics, yeah, I'm just not making any changes to this page, so I'll leave it. Analytics will give you an overview. So like whenever you have a Scrum meeting or Scrum call or a meeting with your product owner or client, so this is the burn down chart which will give you an immense insight, like what exactly was done in this week, what are the number of tasks was covered, and those. So everything, as soon as you start filling up your work items and your boards, you will see a bit of value over here. For now we just have 2 items and we have not even given an estimate. Okay, so this is how a burn down chart looks. And the last option what we have, it is queries. Queries is more of a SQL query what you run. Okay, so this is if you want to query out a user story, or if you want to query out the status, the active status, because you might have 100 of user story, and going and looking in work items and board, it would be a bit difficult. So if you want to see how many stories are active, how many stories are like closed, so you can come and add fields over here. Like see, if we see active, and if I run this query, so I have one user story which is inactive right now. So you can add number of clause, and or clause which you can use. There are n number of fields you can select from. There are operators equal to, and there are operators less than equal to, greater than equal to, all those operators which you can use, and the value. Okay, so this is how a typical agile project will look like. So whenever you create an agile project, this is how it will look like. The difference would be we'll have iteration over here. So in my next video, I would be creating a Scrum project. Okay, we'll see what exactly the difference between agile and the Scrum project, and when exactly we use agile and when do we use a Scrum project. Hey, hi all, and welcome to my channel devopsmela. So this is part 2 of Azure Boards. In my previous video, I have covered how to create an agile project and how to manage the work items of agile project. In this video, we'll focus on how to create a Scrum project and how to manage work items in a Scrum project. Okay, so Scrum is one of the most popular and widely used agile framework. Again, it's a part of agile methodology with within the agile framework called Scrum. Okay, there are two primary roles. There are two primary entities, I would say, a Scrum Master and a project owner. So who exactly is a Scrum Master? A Scrum Master is the coach and the gatekeeper. You can think as a gatekeeper. A Scrum Master responsibility is to follow the agile framework. His main responsibility is the Scrum team is following the agile framework, the guidance provided to him. And the product owner is more of a subject matter expert. He is the one who interacts with the client, get the requirements, and he gathers a requirement and make sure we are using the right tool. So So the product owner communicates their vision to the team to help set priorities. So he decides which are the priority work which needs to be go first. So all this information are something are provided by a product owner. So product owner should be a subject matter expert of your project. So straightforward. So we won't talk more about Scrum methodology. Scrum methodology is a big methodology altogether. It's altogether a different topic. That was just a simple definition about Scrum. So we'll just focus about how to create project in Scrum using Scrum work item process and how do we manage that. Okay, let's directly jump into Azure Boards Scrum project and the work item hierarchy. So what you see over here, it's a typical example of a Scrum work item hierarchy. Okay, there are three important segments: portfolio backlog and issue tracking. In portfolio backlog, we have two options: epic and feature. So epic feature is nothing but it's grouping of work item in larger scenario. What exactly that means, we'll talk when we exactly do practical. Backlog, over here we have a product backlog item and we have a task. So product backlog item and task is nothing but actual work which is performed by the developers. So those work gets noted over here. Issue tracking, we have an option called impediment for issue tracking. For bug tracking, we have bug and configurable. Okay, so this is how a typical Scrum work item hierarchy looks like. Let's directly jump into my project, Scrum project. So this is the link dev.azure.com, wherein you can go and you'll see this page. In this page, we can create a new project and we can just name it as Scrum project. Description, what exactly this project is all about, that description can be given over here. Visibility, public, private. So we'll keep it private for now. Version control will use Git. There is one more option, Team Foundation version control, but we'll stick with Git for now. Work item process, the default option is basic, but we are creating a Scrum, so we'll select Scrum. Okay, and if you want to change this work item to Scrum as a default, even that can be done. Let's create a Scrum project. Okay, so a Scrum project is created. Typically, when a project is created, a group is also created, a Scrum team is also created. So for now, I'm the only one part of this project right now, and even a repository is created under my project name. Okay, so let's jump onto boards and let's understand all the various options what we have in this boards. So we have work item, boards, backlog, sprints, queries. So let's see what exactly a work item is. Okay, if you click on this drop down of new work item, there are multiple options. So we'll start with epic. So as I said, it's about the large scenario gets captured over here. So it's a portfolio backlog. So what exactly portfolio backlog we have? So just imagine our portfolio backlog is something as finance, like imagine a shopping cart for website. So this is, we want to create a shopping cart for a website. Okay, this is my large scenario. You can assign to any this typically get assigned to the product owner or the scrum master. So for now, if you want to assign to someone, you can just select over here, and from here you can select the person name to whom you want to assign. There are multiple states what we have for now, so you can select the states over here. Let's save this first. Okay, or we can see this. So we have in progress, done, removed. So all the states we can select from here. We have a area. This is the area where my project is, the Scrum project. We can have multiple paths as well. For now, we just have Scrum project as my area. Okay, we have number of fields over here like description, acceptance criteria, and discussion. So description is more about a complete description, a brief description about the shopping cart website epic what you have created. Acceptance criteria would be how the shopping cart page should look, whether the unit testing is done or not, how the user will log in onto this page. So those are the acceptance criteria. These are some few examples which I'm giving. There could be more discussion. If you want to discuss anything related about this, you can have a discussion over here. Like suppose if you want to point out to someone, some developer, do this, whether this is completed or not, so you can use a @ symbol followed by the developer's name. So whatever we want to discuss, we can even have those discussion in this epic itself. Okay, rest we have the priority. So we have the priority set. If it's a critical, if it's a medium critical, if least priority, if it's a low priority, you can select the numbers over here. Efforts. So this effort is more about how many days, how many numbers of hours would be required to complete this epic. Okay, so that is where efforts comes in picture. Okay, business value, again, how business critical, what are the values. So if you define any business value, that comes over here. Time critical, if it's a critical, how critical, within with what time that should be completed, those information asked comes over here. Okay, value area, that's business or architectural, that information can be like jotted over here. So if you want to add, these fields are customizable. So if you want to add some more fields, that is possible. Okay, start date, end date, target date, we can define the start and end date over here. Now if you come at the right hand side, we have a deployment. So before deployment, let's talk about this development. So you can link all your branches over here. If you have a master, release, or develop branch, so those branches can be linked over here. And if there is any build and release pipeline integrated with those branches, then that status can be visible right over here. Okay, that is why we have an option called deployment. Related work items. So this is an epic. This epic will have multiple child features, multiple user stories, and portfolio backlog item, everything. So that comes over here. So we will start linking everything as soon as we start building it. Okay, history. So this history contains all the information, like who has made the changes, if any update was made, if the status got changed, if the state got changed to something. So all that history gets captured over here. As soon as you start linking, your links will start getting reflected. It will start reflecting at this particular location. We have attachments. So you have n number of attachments, like your unit testing, if you have any validation script, if you have any architectural diagram. So everything else, every possible thing related to this epic can be attached at this particular location. So this is about the last scenario what we captured. Let's include one more scenario. Let's create a feature. So this is the other way of creating a feature now. Okay, so it's a new item what we're creating. So it would be definitely a child item for this epic. So it's a feature. So we can create a feature as a login, auth login for customers or client, I would say. Auth login page for client or customer in normal scenario if we talk about. So it's a authentication login page what we're creating for client and customer for accessing this shopping cart. So this is again a semi-large scenario for the feature for the epic what we have created. So let's see this, what all options we have. Let's save it. Again, the state, we have multiple state: in progress, done, removed. Area, iteration, reason, acceptance criteria, description, discussion. It's almost the same thing what we just saw in the epic. And we have the same set of information: deployment, development, related work item. There's nothing new right over here. Okay, so let's save it. Now coming back to the work item, we have two things. We created an epic and we have created a feature. Now let's create a portfolio backlog item. Portfolio backlog item is something a developer would be working now on it. Okay, this is something we'll assign to a developer by a scrum master or a product owner. and this is the place where a developer will start working. So this could be designing shopping cart login page. So this is something, designing shopping cart login page, and this will be assigned to a developer. Now there's one more option of tag. This tag option is visible on our epic and feature also. So if you want to tag, this is a part of dev, so we can just give dev. So this way it's easy to recognize that this user story is for development, and this is for designing, this is for testing and those things. So this tagging is very important. Not that important, but yeah, if you're giving a tag, it's good. Okay. Again, we have the state, we have the Scrum, and we have a reason. This is a new option what we see over here. So it's a new backlog item what we have created. If you, as soon as you save it, it comes into a log state. Approve it, approved by, and those by a product owner. So a product owners comes and approve it. So these are the options what you see. Okay, these are the new options what you see right now in a product backlog item. A description, acceptance criteria, discussion, rest of the information remains same. Efforts, how many hours or how many days would be that needs to be defined and will be taken by a developer to complete this work. Okay, let's save this. So for now, I'm not giving any efforts. I'm not giving any acceptance criteria. Again, acceptance criteria would be how the login page should look, how the design should look, and those information will come right over here. Okay, we'll start linking. We have not linked this product backlog item, but this will get linked to my feature. The feature is my parent for this particular product backlog item. So auth login page for client or customer. So simply we just link it. So whatever changes we do, it will reflect in feature, and directly it will reflect in the epic also. Okay, this is how a typical product backlog item looks like. Let's save it. Now we'll start creating task. Okay, task is something, it's a smaller work item which is created by developer himself. Like if I'm giving a designing page to a developer, so this is something on daily basis a developer comes in and creates a task and states like, on day one I'm working on this, and it's a smaller chunk what a developer picks out of the user story. If it's a bigger user story, and he starts working on it, and it starts creating n number of tasks. For this page, he can easily simply create R&D on shopping cart login page. This is what a typical uh, task would look like. If I just save it, we have, again, he will assign this task to himself. He can set his priority, he can give a remaining work activity. If he has some blockage kind of, if this task is blocked due to certain things, this needs to be captured over here. So to do task, it would be to do, in progress, done, removed. Okay, so these states can be changed. For now, if I change it to in progress, that I've started working, he can give us short description what exactly he's doing in this particular task, and many more. Okay, so let's save this. Blocked, yes, if this is blocked, this task is blocked, it has some dependency, and if it's waiting for something, or if the developer himself is blocked on somewhere, so he can mark it as blocked. Okay, save. Coming back to work items now, this is how my work items is looking. We have a larger scenario, shopping cart, then we have divided into more semi-larger scenario, authentication, login, and this is the place where exactly work start and the developer starts working in it. Board. Coming back to this boards, so this board is typically looks like a Kanban board. So if you guys have worked on a Kanban board, this is how a Kanban board looks. It's a horizontal board wherein it moves from left to right. So as soon as your work is approved, it is it goes in committed, the status will change. If it is done, you can just drag drop to done. Okay, coming back, you can, if you want to redo things, you can go back left. So this is a drag dock way of dragging things as soon as you start working on your portfolio backlog item. And this is the place which gives a high level view to everyone, what all your product backlog item is in new, what all has been approved, what all has been committed, and what all has been done. So a scrum master or a product owner can come over here and they can have a high level view also, seeing at the status. You can also create a product backlog item and work directly from here. This is another place of creating, and you can link it directly to your epic or feature wherever you want to link. Okay, so this is the place where a bunch of people come and jump in and to see the status of this project, like what exactly happening with this project. Okay, backlogs is the place where all the backlogs are visible, like how many backlogs are there, uh, what all backlogs is going in what sprint 1 and sprint 2. So at the left hand side you see all the backlogs, at the right hand side you see the planning. Like, so sprint, basically the sprint is of 1 week. So depending upon project to project, some project has 2 week, 3 week, 4 week, but basically the sprint happens for a week, wherein once the sprint is completed, they at the end they have a retrospective meeting, like what exactly they have done in the sprint and what better can be done, and what all new product backlog item we are taking in for the upcoming sprint. So those all discussion happens during a retrospective meetings. And in Scrum, we daily have a Scrum call. It's not a big call, or sort of, it's just a 10 to 15 minutes short call, wherein a Scrum Master asks the developer if they are stuck somewhere, if they need any assistance, any resource needs to be added to achieve this product backlog item. So those all calls happens over here. Okay, so as if now we have not scheduled anything yet. If you wish to give a definitive dates, like from this, within this time period we have to complete this project, so you can give a definitive date, like come to project settings. In project settings we have project configuration. In configuration you can set up a definitive dates. Sorry, so like starting from today, let's take some 3 to 4 months, like till 30th June this project should complete. And let's set a sprint also, like, so we need a 1 week sprint, like starting from today. Let's take it as 6. So we gave a 1 week sprint. So 1 week we'll have a number of days should be 5, because we don't consider Saturday Sunday, that is a week off day for the developer. So we have a 5 working day. But this is, again, you can change it. If you want to change the working days, come back to settings, there's an option called working days, and if you want to change to Saturday Sunday also, then it would be 7 working days for the developers. 8 working days in fact, because we selected 27 till 6th, that's why 8 working days. But we don't want the weekends to come in picture, so that's why we just remove this Saturday Sunday and we'll start our work from Monday onwards. Okay, so from here, from this location, if you want to assign this task to some specific sprint, that this task should be done in first sprint or second sprint, you can simply drag drop. So for me, I'll put it in sprint 1. Okay, so it has been moved. So if you see this product backlog item, we need to cover in sprint 1. Okay, now coming to this option, sprints, let's see if this changes. Okay, so this sprint is typically again your task board. So it will have n number of product backlog item, to do work, in progress work, and those information right over here. Okay, Again, it more of a Kanban board. It moves from left to right. The second option is backlog, wherein you will have all your backlogs. Again, the same backlog page what we saw just now. So this is my sprint one, which is running. Capacity. You can define the developer's capacity, like how many days the developers should do a development, designing, documentation, and everything. So that capacity can be like jotted down over here, and that can be defined over here. Analytics. It's a burn down chart. So once the sprint is completed, all the information would be over here, like how many tasks we have completed, how many product backlog items we have completed. So this is a burn down chart will get created automatically. Okay, so this is a burn down chart wherein whatever work during the sprint you have done, everything gets jotted over here, like how many work items you have completed, what are the product backlog items which is pending, what are the number of tasks, everything comes over here. Okay, the last tab what we have, queries. Queries is something, it's like a SQL query, like if you want to query out something from your database. So it's kind of the same funda what you can use it over here, because in work item you will have n number of product backlog item, we have n number of tasks which is to the task which is in to do, which is in progress state, with the task which has been approved, not the task, the product backlog item which has been approved. Everything can be, you can query out everything. So there are options, like there are multiple clauses you can add new clause. There are conditions like and or condition. There are operators like equal to, greater than, less than, and those conditions also, operators also you can use. Okay, and you can create a n number of queries as per your requirement. So as soon as you run it, these are the options what we see. And if I change the state to approved, like see this. So this is how you can query out all your requirement. Based on your requirement, you can create your own queries. And even in queries, you have a very good analytical view. As soon as you create a query and if you save it, you have a good chart where you see all the informations. Okay, we have not saved this query. If you want to, just let's save this quickly. Let's name it as test. Okay, now coming back to chart, you can create a chart over here. You can create a pie chart, you can create a column, stack bar, pivot table. So depending upon your requirement, how you want to create, how you want to group it. So this is how you can create a chart, and this is how it will looks like. So this is good for visualization. So if you want to visualize like what exactly happening, so this is how you can come and visualize things. So that, hey, hi, welcome to my channel devopsmela. This is Rohit Singh, and in this video tutorial we'll talk about Git. So this is a very important topic, I would say. Git is something would be used by everyone, whoever is working in IT industry. If you are related with, if you are related to an application support, there would be a time wherein you'll get a request to clone this Git repository or get the source code from this particular place. So there, wherein you will be required to have a bit of knowledge of Git. And if you are a developer, I would say, so developer in and out, they have to work on Git. Whatever check-in they do, whatever codes, bug fix, everything. So a developer should have a knowledge about Git repository and about the DevOps engineers. So DevOps, this is a day in day out job for a DevOps engineer to work on Git. So Git overall, if you ask me, Git is a very important topic. So that's why I thought of picking up Git, because there are people, I've seen people have struggling with Git. Git is not a very big tool. It's very easy to learn and understand. So I thought of coming up with a crash course wherein I'll cover 70 to 80% of commands which is used in Git on day-to-day basis. Okay. So as 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 I said, let's move ahead and let's understand Git in details. Okay, so very first, what is Git system? And it has unusual rich command set that will help you with the high level operations as well as full access to internals. Okay. So what is distributed version control system? Okay, and how Git differs from other version control system what we have it in the market. Okay, so there are two types of version control system in the market which people usually use. The first is the distributed version control, that is all about Git. The second is centralized version control system. So centralized would be SVN, that is one, TFS, which is a Microsoft product. So overall, before Git, SVN, TFS, they were leading the market and they were the one of the known version control tool. But now, after 2015, Git is something has overtaken everything, and because of its feature, because it's fast, it's scalable, it provides a distributed version control. So that's why Git is running the market right now. Okay, that is the reason why Microsoft has acquired GitHub, and it has integrated Azure Git with uh, Microsoft DevOps. So that's altogether a different topic. Let's understand what is a distributed version control system first. A distributed version control is a form of version control in which complete code base, including its full history, is mirrored on every developer's computer. So in short, you can clone the entire repository on your local machine. It's it's like your local machine works as a centralized server for you. So we'll talk about those in details, like when I'll show you the practical, how things behave in practical. So we'll talk more about distributed version control. So what are the benefits? It enables automatic management, branching, merging, speeds up your most operations. Like when you want to push things, so it speeds up most of your operations. Again, it's high level. Whatever I'm saying, it's high level right now. You'll get a clear understanding when we start doing things practically. Okay, so just keep in mind, Git is a distributed version control wherein you can clone your entire repository, remote repository, and work locally. There's no dependency. Even though your remote repository goes down for some reason, you still have the code base, you still can work. Wherein in centralized control version control system, if your centralized server is down, you can't do anything. You're stuck. That's the major difference over here. So these are the three stages in which Git works. And so basically, before I go and move on to this three stages, let's install Git on your local system first. Okay, and let me clear one more thing. So there are confusion among people, like what is Git, what is GitHub, what is GitLab, what is Azure Git. So it's totally different. Okay, Git is different and GitHub is different, GitLab is different, Azure Git is different. In simple words, if I want to put, Git is a version control system that lets you manage and keep track of your source code. Okay, on the other hand, GitHub, GitLab, Azure Git is a cloud based hosting service that lets you manage Git repository. Simple. So Git is a version control system wherein GitHub, GitLab, Azure Git, or other like Bitbucket and those is a cloud-based hosting service that lets you manage your Git repository. Okay, before we go and jump on to this Git stages, let me show you how to install Git on your local computer. Okay, it's very easy. I would be using Windows. Okay, if you guys are using Mac, Linux, so it's straightforward. Okay, so let's do a Git download for Windows. So you get a exe file. You can just do next, 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 and Git will be installed on your computer. So this is the link, git-scm.com, wherein you get all the exe file. You can just download the setup from here. I already have Git in my machine, that's why I'm not doing it. Okay, and just do a next, and Git will be installed. So once Git is installed, there are multiple ways you can access Git on your computer. There are Git Bash. If you're familiar with Linux command, Unix based command, then you can use a bash shell, Git Bash shell. We have GUI and we have CMD. Okay. So we'll be, for this entire tutorial, we'll be using Git Bash. Okay, this is very much helpful. Yeah, the reason of using Git Bash would be like if you so in future if you're switching over from Windows to some other Linux based computer or Linux based system, then this Git, whatever command we run on this Git Bash will work there too. But it's totally your decision, like which console you want to use for Git. Okay, so this is how it looks. This you can call it as your working directory. The blinking line, you can call it as, name it as your working directory. Okay, so that once in your working directory, if you check in any code, you create any code base, you're doing anything, then you add those code. So when you're adding those code to your Git, that comes in the staging area. That's the second stage. Once your work is all completed, you're ready to go, and you want to commit those changes. So what is git add, what is git commit, that's I will cover that in details when we start actually running those commands. So once you do a git commit, it goes to your Git repository. So in our case, we don't I'm not signing into any GitHub, GitLab for now. I'll be using my local computer as my Git repository. Okay, I'll be doing everything on my local computer. In future, if you want to push all your changes to your remote repository, even we can do that. Okay, so for now, these are the set of commands which I would be covering for this entire tutorial. Okay, so let me be very frankly, this covers 70 to 80% of day in day out job in Git. Okay, so if you're working for any corporates, if you're working for any company, or if you're working on Git, these are the commands which you would be using day in day out. Okay, so 70 to 80% of Git commands would be covered over here. You can even crack the beginner interview of Git using all these commands. Okay, so we talked much. Let's quickly jump into what exactly these commands are and how do we use these commands. Okay, so let's start with the demo. So before start proceeding, let's create a folder that would behave like a Git, a repository folder for us. So let's name it, create a folder on the desktop itself, name it as Git test. So this is the source folder which I'll convert into my Git repository. So in future, if you want to push this code base to any cloud-based GitHub, GitLab, or Azure Git, even that is possible. So this folder is empty right now. Let's open Git Bash. Right click and open Git Bash. So right now, if you see, we are inside uh, desktop Git test, the folder which we have created. So the first command is git initialized, git init. So what exactly this git init is nothing but it will turn an existing directory into a Git repository. So let's run this command, git init. So if you see, the message is initialized empty Git repository. Okay, and it has created a .git folder inside it. So let's go and have a look on this. So we have a .git folder. If you go inside, so these are the configuration file. What you can say it as configuration file, you can say it as repository library for Git. So the Git would be using all this information so that Git can function on your local computer. Okay. So in future, these files are very useful and very important. So in future, if you want to switch to some other computer and you want your Git files to be there on that computer as well, you can just do a lift and shift. Okay. And if you can do a lift and shift, and your entire repository would be copied to other system. But because we have GitLab, GitHub, so we can just clone it. So there's another command that is git clone. So we won't be using git clone because this is like cloning the entire remote repository on your local computer. But keep in your back of your mind. When you do a git clone, it does the initialization in the backend for you. As soon as you do a git clone and you put your username and password information, it will do a git initialization on your computer. So wherever you have that folder, the clone folder, it will have git repository inside it, and you'll find this .git folder as well. Okay, so these are very important configuration what Git has it. So this is what Git init does. Okay, so as of now we have only one branch. This is a default branch which got created. That's a master branch. We'll talk about branching and merging in a bit. Before that, let's talk about git config. Okay, so this is the second important command what we need to understand. That's git config. So git config is to configure user information for all local repositories. Okay, so you can, this is like would be needed when you do a git commit, how your git repository will track things. So git config, which user is working, what is the name or email id, such information is needed by git so that it can track the information for you. Okay, so let's run this command git config. The other command is git config. We'll do, there are multiple flags which we can use. For now we'll use global flag. Okay, the global flag, this will help you to set up name you want to attach when you do a commit transaction. So this will attach a name for you. So user dot name, I'll give my name as Rohit Singh. So I want this names to be attached when I'm doing any git commit transaction. Okay, done. I'll add my email ID too. These are two important information Git will require in order to make any changes on your Git repository. Okay. Again, when you do a clone from any remote repository like GitHub, GitLab, they already have your username and password and everything. So when you do a clone, your configuration information is also cloned from them. So that won't be needed. This is when you're working locally on your local system, and when you do a git initialize for the very first time, at that time you have to do a git config. Okay. Okay, let's add the user email ID as well. That's user.email, and we'll provide an email ID as rohitkasingh@test.com. Simple. Let's see if all the information is updated or not. Let's git config -list. So it will list all your configuration information. So this is what we have entered. This Rohit Kumar Singh test and Rohit K Singh is the username. Okay, so these are the two commands, git init, git config, and the third command is git add. Again, very important command. But before we go and see git add, let's add few files over here. Like kind of I'm building some things, just an example. So let's add few text files. Let's name it as test1. Let's create few copies of it. Let's name it as test2. So whatever I'm doing right now, this is my staging area. I'm inside Git right now, and I'm This is my working directory where I'm making changes. Okay, I got this four. Imagine this is four source yeah, code base. You have written four codes. These are your codes. So for now, I just have a simple text file. Okay, so coming to your Git stages. So this is the place where we are right now, the working directory. If you go and quickly check in Git, the very important command git status, like whatever things you're doing in your staging area and in your working directory, that can be tracked using this command. That's git status. Okay, so these are the four files, text file, what we have added into a working directory. Not just added, we are working on. So these are the four files which Git has tracked, that we have these untracked files in a working directory, and it is giving an option to add those files. Okay, it's giving a command as well how to add those files. So there are multiple ways of adding those files. So when you do a git add, again that's the third command. When that operation is complete, your file, they go in staging area of Git. Okay, let's quickly add. So there are multiple ways of adding. I'm showing you one of the way. It's git add. You can give the file name test-1.txt. So it's added. If you run the git status again, if you see it's been added. So it's been tracked by Git right now. But there are three untracked files. So this way we can add each files one by one, but that is not a valid option, I would say. There's a different way of adding. It's git add, just give a dot and hit enter. So all the files, whatever files are there, it's been tracked right now. Okay, it's in staging area right now. Okay, coming back to Git. So what all commands we covered? We covered git init, git config, git add, git commit, git status. Okay, so these are the commands what we have covered till now. Let's talk about git commit too before we move ahead, because we need to commit those changes, whatever changes we have. Okay, let's commit those changes. So git commit is nothing but it records a file snapshot permanent in the version history. Okay, so git commit, what it does, it will, whatever changes, track changes you have in your Git repository, it will update it in the version history permanently. So let's do it. Let's do a git commit. The command is to git commit. -m stands for a message. So you should provide a descriptive message, like whatever commits you have done, you have to provide a descriptive message for that. So let's put a commit like first commit in Git. Okay, so it's been committed. If you run the git status again, you'll find nothing now. Nothing in no on branch master. So this is the master branch right now. Nothing to commit, working tree clean. So how do we track what all things we have committed? So there is another command, git log. Let's clear this and do a git log again. So let's understand what exactly it's trying to tell. Okay, first this is a commit message, commit ID. I would say it's a hexadecimal number. So it's a commit ID. It's unique for each commit. The commit ID will differ from whatever commit you do. Okay, and this is a pointer. So Git works on reference pointer. Okay, so again that is the reason why Git is so fast, because it works on reference. Okay, so the pointer is right now on the master branch. Who did this commit? The commit was done by Rohit Kumar Singh, and this is the email ID. That's why we have updated git config. When the commit was done, that the commit was done on Thursday, December 24th, and the reason of telling you to give a descriptive message. This is the reason. First commit in Git. So by this Git log, we can track the things. Okay, very easily. Coming back to, so we have done Git init, config, commit, status, Git log. Okay, there's a graphical representation as well, and if you want to have this commit information in a very good looking graphical window, so you can use this command git k. So when you'll hit enter, a graphical interface page will be opened. Okay, and this is how it looks. So it's a first commit. We have all the files. These are the files name: text1, text2, text3, text4. Again, it has the same information. This is your commit ID, the branch master, first commit in Git. So again, and on the right hand side, you'll see your name and your email ID followed by the date. Okay, so this is the way you can have a graphical representation of your commits and logs. Even that is very good. So it's totally up to you. Okay, let's start with Git branch, and then we'll move on to Git merge, Git rebase, and Git pull fetch. Okay. So before moving on to the practical part, let's understand what exactly Git branch. So Git branch is one of the important part of working with Git. So any commits you make will be made on the branch you're currently checked out. So that's the reason in all the organization they have a Git branching and merging strategy. So what exactly that means? So by default you have a master branch created. Okay, so master branch is the branch where all the golden copy, I would say, the code is kept. Okay, the golden copy of your production. Okay, then we'll have a release branch. So this is a typical branching and merging strategy which I'm talking about. It may differ from organization to organization. Okay, so there would be a release branch using which they will deploy it in the production environment or the staging environment. Then we will have a develop branch wherein typically a developer will deploy it in the development environment. Okay, and we'll have a feature branch wherein if any new feature needs to be added or something, so we'll have a feature branch added. So this is a typical example of a branching and merging strategy in organization. Okay. So let's quickly have a look about the branching and merging strategy in Git. So I'm in the folder. This is a folder created previously, Git test. So I'm in the folder. These are the set of files what we have in master branch. Let's create a new branch right now. Let's see how many branches we have right now. So this is the command git branch -l. Will list all the branches what we have right now. Okay, and if you do a -a, it does the same. The only difference, it will list the remote branches as well. So we don't have a remote branch right now because we're not connected to any GitHub, GitLab. So we are doing everything locally. Okay. So let's create a branch. The command to create a branch would be git branch. There are multiple ways of creating branch. I'm just giving a straightforward way how to create a branch. So let's git branch, and you can just give the branch name. I'll just name it as develop. It's created. Let's check it. Git branch -l. We have a develop branch right now. Okay. Let's do a switch. Okay. So we have a new branch created based out of master. So in order to switch to that branch, we have again two different commands, that is git switch and git checkout. Okay, we'll talk about in details what is the difference, why do we have two set of commands. So that is for, we'll keep it for later. So let's use git switch. Let's switch it to the newly created branch. Okay, so if I look over here, it's exact the same what we have it in master. Okay, so let's do some changes. Let's add some files, then we'll talk about merge and rebase later. So let's do touch. So this is the command used for creating a file. So I've created a file touch abc, and I create another file touch bcd. So we have two more files, abc and bcd. Let's do a git add. Okay, it's been added. Let's do a commit. Let's give it his name, added 2 files in develop branch. Okay, so what I did, I've added 2 files. I've committed those files in my develop branch right now. So I'm in develop branch. If you do a git branch again, so if you see this highlighted in green and the asterisk mark, so that specifies that you are in develop branch. Plus I'm getting over here, so which branch I am, we know it. Okay, so previously I've used git switch to switch over to a different branch. We can do it, we can do a switch using git checkout as well. So git checkout master. Before that, I want to show you git log. So this is the commit which is done. Okay, and we have it in develop branch. The head is pointing, the reference pointer is pointing at the develop branch right now. And sorry, let's do a LL stands for long listing. So these are all Unix based command which I'm running, a bash based command I would say. So all this command will work in very well with your Linux system and your Mac. Okay, so that's why I'm using bash over here, so that it is compatible with everyone, all other operating systems. Okay, let's switch and see if my master branch has that changes or not. So git checkout again. I'm in master right now. Let's do a LL. Here we go. We don't have that ABC file and the BCD file what we have created. Let's do a git log. We don't have that history too. Okay, so my master is not aware what kind of changes you have done in the local branches, in your develop branches. So my master is not aware about that. So how do we get those changes in my master branch? So there are different ways. Two very important way would be git merge and git rebase. Okay, so using this both, so this is the command git merge and git rebase. So merging is nothing but you will merge the entire change from the develop branch to the master branch, including history in a chronological order. That is what git merge does. Git rebase does the exact same thing, but it won't maintain the complete history. Okay. So again, when to use git merge and git rebase would be totally your decision. Whether if you want to maintain the complete history, then you have to use git merge, and if you want a clean history, then you can definitely go and use git rebase. But that would be totally the management decision and the company which you're working, and if you're working by your own, so that would be totally your decision. I cannot comment on that. These are the difference I just wanted to showcase. So how do we use git merge? So it's straightforward. The command is git merge, and we can just put the branch name from where you want to merge. So I'll just give it develop. So git merge develop. Here we go. So it's did a fast forward merge. So again, we'll talk about this. This is a bit of advanced what exactly a fast forward merge is. So because this is a crash course, I won't be including that over here. But let's understand this. We got all the files, ABC text and BCD files. It has been merged with the master. Okay. Now, if you have a look on the history, git log. Here we go. See, it committed. The reference pointer is at the master right now and develop. So it's been added. If we do a long listing now, it's ABC txt, BCD txt. Okay. Git rebase will do the same. So the command is git rebase followed by the branch name. So it won't happen anything right now, but it will do the exact same thing. Okay. So this is about the branching and merging and rebasing. let's talk about a bit about git, pull, push, and fetch. Okay, so pulling, mainly this is used if you're working with the remote repository like GitHub, GitLab. At that time, pulling, pushing, fetching, these terms would be used mainly. But I would definitely show you how we can do this thing locally as well. Okay, but let's understand git pull first. Okay, in perspective of the remote repositories. Okay, suppose there's a changes in your master branch that is somewhere on GitLab. Okay, so there are frequent changes and you're working on a feature branch locally, but you want those changes on your feature branch as well. Okay, so you do a git pull, like from your remote branch to your local branch. Suppose if you're working on a feature branch and there's a feature branch on your remote repository location as well. So you do a git pull. So what does git pull does? So it will download all the latest changes for you. At the same time, it will commit those changes for you on your local repository. That is what git pull does. On the other hand, git push, if you want to push whatever development you did on your local repository, you want to push it to your remote repository. So you can do you make use of git push. On the other hand, the git fetch. Okay. So before pulling any changes, you want to make sure like what are those changes. I want to make sure what are those changes, whether those changes are required for my development or not. So you do a git fetch. Fetch, what it will do, it will download those latest changes for you, but it won't commit. It will up to you whether you want to commit or not. So that is what git fetch does. So let's do it on my local. I don't have a, as I said, I don't have my remote repository set up right now. So let's do it locally. I have two branches. Let's create one more branch. There's other command to create a branch would be git checkout -b, and we can give it as a branch name as a release. Okay, so this is other way of creating in branch at the same time switching over. Okay, now I was on master previously. Because of this command, I created a release and at the same time switched. Okay, so I'm in release branch right now. So what are the files? I got all these files because master is my default branch. Okay, let's do some changes. Let's create a file touch test 123.txt. I create one more touch test 456.txt. These are the two files. Let's go git commit. Sorry for that, git add, git commit, added two new files. Okay, so it's been added. Let's check git status. Nothing. Git log. Okay, so we have this files, two new files. It's in release branch right now. Okay. Let's go into switch. Let's do a git switch to master now. Master branch. Okay. The master run doesn't have those two new files now. Okay. Let's pull it this time. So what I'm doing, I'm pulling the changes from my release branch. Okay. Usually what it happens, how the git pull looks, git pull remote link, it's mostly the URL. That's a remote URL, will be the remote URL, and it would be the branch name. This is typical syntax for git pull is. Okay, as if now we don't have any remote, so the command to check is git remote. There's nothing. So by using this command git remote, if there's any origin or upstream setup done on your local repository, or if you have cloned it from your remote repository, those URL links would show over here. So as of now, we don't have any. Okay. Then too, I'm just showing how we do it locally, how we do the git pull fetch locally. So you can just run git pull dot. So the dot specify you're on local repository right now. Okay. followed by the branch. So we wanted to pull it from the release branch. Let me spell it right. See, I have fetched from release, fetch head, pass forward, two files. Here we go. We have those two files. Test 1, 2, 3, test 4, 5, 6. The similar way, fetch, push, the push will work for you. Okay, and we have covered git remote as well. Okay, so you guys might have question about like we used fetch sometime, we used we used git checkout, sometime we use git rebase, sorry, not rebase, git switch. So switching is it's a new command, I would say, which git has come up with. So it's a straightforward. So there were confusion. So git switch and git checkout basically on the upper hand, if you'll say, does the same thing. Okay, git switch is straightforward. It will help you to switch to a different branch. Plus, you can even create a new branch out of git switch followed by the branch name. So what it will do, it will create a new branch as well as it will help you to switch. The same thing what we did with git checkout previously by giving -b a branch name. Okay, apart from switching and creating branch, git checkout does we used to play around with the indexes also, kind of reset if you have any unmodified files. So it does the automatic reset. So on the upper end, in simple layman language, git switch checkout helps you to switch to a different branch and helps you to create it even helps you to create a different set of branches. Okay, so this is about git checkout, git merge, rebase, pull, push, fetch. And now we'll talk about what is git clone, what is cherry pick, what is reset, stash, tag, and difference. Okay, so let's talk about git clone now. Okay, clone again in simple. If you want to clone any remote repository, and if you want to have a clone copy on your local machine, so git clone is the command which is used. Okay, so I'll just show you the syntax how it looks. It's git clone followed by the remote URL again. Okay, so this is how a git clone works. So it will clone the entire repository and it will create a local copy for you. Okay. Okay, so after branching and merging strategy, let's move on to the very important topic like git cherry pick. Like what exactly cherry pick is, what is git reset, what is stash, what are git tags, and we missed git show over here. So let's understand git cherry pick, then I'll cover the rest. Okay, so cherry pick is very important topic of git. Uh, So what exactly a cherry pick is? Suppose there is a bug in the master branch. So it was working fine before, but there is a bug in the master branch and you want to just cherry pick that particular commit. So it's like from 100 of commits, you're just cherry picking one single commit and you're reworking on those. So this is where a cherry pick can be useful. Okay. So there are commits which you want to rework. So you can cherry pick those commit into your local branch. Okay. So this is So cherry pick is used day in day out by all the developers. So it's kind of an advanced topic, but a very important topic. That's why I'm covering over here. Okay, so let's have a practical understanding of git cherry pick. So we are in a master repository right now. What all files we have? Okay, so we are good. Let's see what all branches we have. Okay, so let's do some changes in master branch. Let's add a new file, name it as cherrypick.txt. I'm just giving a random name. So I'm just creating a new commit so that we can just cherry pick that commit into a release or a develop branch. Commit cherry pick. Hope you guys are familiar with all these commands which I'm running. If not, please look back to my previous videos tutorial. Okay, so if you look, I got a commit cherry picked. Okay, very good. The random name, don't worry about the spellings and everything. Let me move back to some other branch like git switch. Let's move it to develop log. I don't have that file over here. Okay, the cherry pick file. Okay, so let's do a cherry pick. Wait. Okay, so the syntax to cherry pick is git cherry pick followed by the commit sha. Okay, that's a commit id. So we don't have a commit id right now. Let's switch back to master and get the commit id first. This is the commit id which I want to cherry pick. I just copied it. Switch back to my dev branch. Let's develop, and I just run the command git cherry pick followed by the commit id. Here we go. So this commit is cherry picked right now. So I have this file cherrypick.txt. Now whatever changes I want to make it to this file, I can just go ahead and just do the changes. Okay, and I can, if needed, I can remerge those changes with the master branch. Okay, so that is all about cherry pick. Cherry pick can be used in multiple ways. So this is one of the scenario which I've just explained. The very second very important topic over here is git reset. Reset is something you have to use it very wisely. So we are humans and we tend to make human error. So in that case, if you have done some wrong commit on somewhere on some different branch, and if you want to reset that, so git reset is something would be used. Okay, for example, if you see, these are the, so just think this commit which I did in the develop branch was incorrect, so I want to move back to the previous commit. So in short, I want to remove this. So there are two type of reset. I would name it as soft reset or hard reset. The soft reset will do like it undoes all commits and it preserves changes locally. So soft reset will undo all commits for you, but it will preserve changes locally. Wherein the hard reset discards all history and changes back to the specified commit. So it will not preserve any history for you. It will discard all changes. So while doing hard commit, you have to be very attentive and you have to be very cautious. Okay, what exactly you're doing, you should have that understanding before doing a hard commit. Okay, so the syntax to do a commit would be same. It's git reset followed by the commit id. Okay, so this will do a hard reset, a soft reset by default, and if you want to do a hard reset, you have to give a flag hard. This is the way it works. Okay, let me do a reset for you. And there are different way also, like we can do a reset using head, a reference to, you can just write head followed by the caret sign. This will take you one commit back. If you have two caret sign is nothing but on your numpad, on your keyboard, on the top of the numbers, you'll see 6 on top of it. It's a caret sign. If I use two caret, then it will take me back to this commit. Okay, or we can just copy the commit id on which you want to do a reset. Okay, just copy paste, enter. Now if you go back See where we are, the cherry picked one is gone. This is the commit. Let me clear this. This is the commit, what it is, what we are looking right now. So again, git reset is something you need to recheck twice before running any git reset command. Git stash, again, it's a savior. Git stash is something you would be using day in, day out. Just imagine you're working on a feature branch, you're working on a new feature, and suddenly there's a bug. So you want to switch it to the different branch and you have to fix that bug. Or if you have, or you wanted to fetch those changes on your local, but you have a uncommit changes right now. So what you will do, you will go and drop all your changes, whatever building like development you were doing. No, that is not an answer. Okay, so git stash is something you can use it when you have uncommit changes, and if you have some important or vital work to do later. Okay, how it works, let's see. So git stash. Okay, let's make a new file. Let's name it as stash so that we come to know that we're making changes for stash. Let's add it. I'm not going to commit because there are other changes codes which I need to add, so I'm not done yet, but in between I got very important bug fix to do. So I want this working directory to be clear. Okay, I cannot delete my uncommit changes because in future I will need those as well. So we have a very good option in git, that is git stash. So we can stash all our uncommitted work and we can come back to it whenever it's needed. Okay, so the easy way to do is just put git stash, enter. So it has created a stash and your working directory is clear right now, so you can do whatever new changes you want. Okay, and if you want to check what all things are there in stash, you can just run this command git stash list. Okay, so these are the changes what we have. These are the latest one and this is the previous one I might have created. Okay, and if you want to switch back to your working like your previous change, then the command would be git stash pop. Pop is the command and the stash id. Here we go. Now if you do a git status, we got the stash.txt back. Okay, and in case if you want to delete this, instead of pop, just use drop. It's deleted. If you go and check in the list, it's gone. I have one more stash, let's delete that too. This is how it looks, dropped. Okay, so this stash is again a very important topic and it's very good, you should know. So next is git tag. Tag is again tagging your change. Like you always want, like how we have versions like version 1.1 or 1.2, so those are tags. So similarly you can have tags for your source code as well. Okay, for example, let's see what is the last commit. This is the last commit what I had right now, and I want to tag this as version 1.0. Okay, pretty much easy. Git tag -a stands for annotation. Okay, if you want to give any kind of annotations, so -a, you can name it as version 1.0 over here. -m if you want to give any message, my first tag, kind of something, whatever you like. Okay, so now if you check the log, see it's version 1.0, the tag is given. So whenever you want to switch, you can easily come and switch it from here. Git tag is something you will always prefer. So if you write git tag, you can this is the version you'll get. And in details, if you want to see, then you can make use of git show command also. Okay, let's talk about that too because we were waiting to talk about that. So git show will give you output metadata and contain changes of a specified commit. just run git show over here now. See, it gives you the latest commit information, the tag, and the difference between what was the previous and what is the latest. The difference, you get the difference as well for this commit. Same thing what git differ will do. Git differ is something it shows content difference between two branches. Okay, like suppose if you want to differentiate between two branches, like what are the different changes, you can use git diff. So like develop branch is the one, dot dot dot, just three dot with the master branch. You'll see the difference, like what are the difference between these two branches. So that is a place where git differ will be used. Okay, so guys, these hello all and welcome to my channel devopsmela. In this video tutorial we'll talk about Azure Git. Okay, so let's understand what exactly Azure Git is and what all things we would be doing in this entire video tutorial. So first we will understand what exactly Azure Git is. Then we'll set up a new project in Azure DevOps. Then we'll have an end-to-end demo session. So in that demo session we'll be creating branches, multiple branches. We'll see what are the policies and how do we set the policies in Azure Git. We'll clone a Azure Git repository on a local system. We'll create certain files. We'll push those changes to the remote repository, that is Azure Git. We'll see how the cherry picking thing works in Azure. I'll walk through how we can revert any changes in Azure. We'll understand the various types of commits like merge commits, squash, rebase, and semi-linear merge commits in Azure. So before wasting any of the time, let's directly jump on and let's start with the session. Okay, and if you guys are new to my channel, please like, share, and please do subscribe to my channel, guys. Okay, if you guys subscribe it, and if you like and put your comments, what you like, what you dislike, please put down in your comments. And if you want anything new to be added, please let me know, and please do subscribe to my channel. Okay, thank you. Let's move on. So what exactly is Azure Git? Okay, so Azure Git, as we know, it's a repository management tool. Okay, in the market, similarly, we have GitLab, GitHub, Bitbucket. So the similarity is they all are a repository management tool. Okay, in the backend, even Azure uses Git itself. So again, Git, as we know, Git is a very known version control tool. Okay, I'm not gonna cover more about Git in this video tutorial, but if you want to know more about Git, please check my videos, check my playlist. You'll find a Git like elaborated Git tutorial, which is very helpful, wherein I'm within 30 to 40 minutes I'm teaching complete Git end to end. Okay, please check. Okay, so before, let's jump on to Azure DevOps and let's create a new project. If you guys are new to Azure DevOps, so just go on dev.azure.com and sign in. Okay, that's free. You can sign in for free. I've already have an account, so I will not do it. It will take me directly to my project name. The test Rohit KS is my project name, so it took directly to that project because I'm already signed in. If you guys are not signed, if you don't have an account, please sign into dev.azure.com. Okay, these are some known projects. This is again a part of my tutorial. So if you want to know how exactly I have created all these projects and everything, please check my Azure DevOps series video. Okay, so I'll quickly start with creating a new project. I'll give a project name as Azure Git project. Just copy paste the same in description. I'll keep it as private. Okay, I'm not making it public. I'm keeping it as a private. In version control tool, we have multiple options where we'll have team foundation version control and Git. So we'll stick with Git. It's a if you talk about TFVC, so that is a centralized version control. So, and wherein on the other hand, Git is a distributed version control. Okay. Work item process, I'm keeping it basic. What exactly work item process is, please check my old video, because in this video we are just focusing more on Azure Git. Okay, thank you. Let's create a project. As soon as we create a project, a repository would be created by default. We'll have a repository created, set Azure Git project. So if you see, I have a repository created. This is the link which we can use to clone it. So the repository name is Azure Git project. Okay. If you want, you can use the same repository, or if you want, you can click on this and you can create a new repository. There's one more option to import. If you have a Git repository in GitHub or GitLab, so you can directly give that link and you can import it directly in Azure Git. Okay. There are multiple options of managing how to manage repository. This is what we will talk in future later. So this is the place wherein you can manage all your repositories. Okay. So I'm not creating. I already have a Azure Git repository created. So I'll be using the same one. So what I'll do, I'll clone this on my local. So I would be playing a developer role wherein I will cloning a repository. I'll put down some codes, then I'll push it. Okay. So let's do that. Let's do that way. So I've already copied the link. Let me open Git Bash. Okay, I'm using Git Bash. If you guys want to download Git on Windows, just type Git for Windows. Okay, it will take you to the Git official website. Okay, you can just download this. I'm using a 64-bit setup, so just download this file and do next. You'll be able to download Git on your system. Okay, so as soon as it gets downloaded, if you type Git, you'll get Git Bash, Git GUI, Git CMD. So whichever mode you like, you can use it. So I'm very familiar with this Git Bash shell, so that's why I'm using Git Bash. Okay guys, let's go ahead and let's clone the repository. The command to clone is git clone, and just put the link which we just copied from Azure Git. Okay, this is the link, HTTPS link. I just clicked here and copied and just ran the command git clone. If you see, there's a folder created, Azure Git, and inside it there's a .git folder. This gets created when you initialize the Git repository. Okay, let's go inside that folder, Azure Git. Okay, so in order to go inside the folder, the command is cd. Cd is for change directory, followed by the folder name. So I am in desktop right now. I've created this folder on my desktop. Okay, so if you see, it's pointing into the master branch right now. So we are in master branch. Okay. So let's add few files in the master branch before we move in. We'll do echo. Let's create hello world, and I'll just name it as hello.txt. Just click. So it's a simple file. Hello.txt is got created. I'll just add it. I'll do a commit. My first commit. Okay. So this is what a typical developer does. This is very simple, very straightforward. So the commit what we did, this is a local commit. Till now my Azure DevOps is not aware that you made some commit. So in order to push all the changes from my local machine to my remote machine, this is the command git push origin. We can define that origin as Azure Git origin and master. So this way, master is the branch name. We can push the change. So this is the origin where it got pushed. If you want to see the git origin, see, this is the origin which is already defined. I'm not going through all this command for now because we are just focusing more on Azure Git. If you want to know, please check my Git video. Okay, thank you. Now, if you refresh this page, here we go. It's a master branch, and this is the hello world what we have created. Okay, so let me walk you through. So inside Azure DevOps, this is the repository segment wherein you can see all your information. Okay, if you click on files, this is the page where you land up. At the left hand side, you see the repository name, followed by all your codes would be visible over here. Okay, there are multiple options, like if you want to clone this repository, if you want to fork this repository, if you want to create a new file, new folder, if you want to upload it directly, if you want to download as a zip. So these are the options which you can select. On the right hand side, if you come, you'll see the branch where you are right now. So you are in master branch right now. Okay, and these are the file. So what are the codes, and if you want to have a quick glimpse like what exactly is the content of the file, you can just click on the file and you can see it. History will have complete history about the commits and who is the developer who has committed and everything. Compare, you can easily compare with your previous version. So as if now I have nothing to compare, this is the only file I have, so you can compare it. Blame, again, blame is nothing but you'll see all the developers name with the commit ID and who has made what changes. That's it, nothing else. So name is given as blame, you don't have to go and blame somewhere. Okay, edit, if you want to edit directly from here, even that is possible, like how we did hello world. Similarly, I'll add hello again. So new change, what I'm doing, I'll commit. So this is the change directly. I'm doing it inside the Azure Git. Okay, updated hello.txt to the master branch. Work item, this is again if you want to track what exactly you're doing. So then you can create a work item. Clicked, committed, has been pushed. Now if you see hello again, if you see a history, again there's a change done by me. Okay, on local it is Rohit KS, on over here I'm using test.rohit KS. Compare, again left hand side is your previous version, right hand side is the updated latest version what you have. Okay, okay, so this is from directly from Azure Git, you can do it. Okay, there are multiple options which I'll be walking through. Again, over here we have clone, fork, download, delete if you want to delete this file and everything. Okay, so in commit section, again you'll see the same similar information wherein who has committed and when exactly it was committed. If you go inside it, you again have more information what exactly was committed, which file was committed, and that information can be visible over here. Details, in details you'll get a complete details what was the message. So we remember we typed my first commit, so this is what it is reflecting with the author name, who is the author, who has committed, who has pushed the change. So all that information would be visible over here. Okay, and if you see this commit, you'll see a very good uh, bifurcation, what was the previous commit and what was added. So this plus sign, if I remove it, you'll see a minus sign over here. Okay, so this is inline. Again, if you want to do a side by side, you can have a side by side look as well. Okay, so again, if you come to pushes, if you see what all code was pushed to this Azure Git, you can see in this segment like who has pushed and what exactly was pushed. Branches, again, we only have right now we only have one single branch, that is a master branch, so that's why it's the only master branch is visible. We'll create multiple branches and we'll see all those options like cherry pick, revert, tagging, and many things. Okay, I'll cover this tags and pull requests later. Let's do one thing, let's create one more branch, a develop branch, and let's see how it works. So if you want to create a branch directly in Azure Git, come to branches. Over here there's an option to create new branch. Okay, let's name it as develop. Okay, so over here you can select whether you want to create a based on master. So you can create, so your develop branch will have all the files which is there in master. So let's create that. Okay, if you see, we are in develop branch. As of now it's a develop over here, and we have all the files hello.txt which was there in master branch too. Okay, now let's go back to master and see this. In master we have the branches, we have the commit number, we have the author who has created and who has committed. So if someone else comes in, a second developer has committed the latest change, so his commit ID and his name would be visible. Okay, and the author name would be visible with a timestamp. Behind ahead, again, if you see, my develop branches, my master branch has few tags like default. These are the default branch. Like if you clone this repository, master branch copy will be cloned. Okay, so like suppose a new developer comes in, if he clones, so whatever files we have it in master, that files will be cloned in his local system. Okay, because we have set master as a default. Comparison, so all the other branches are getting compared with develop branch with master branch right now. So as if now it is 0 0 because there is no change. So it's a develop branch is exact replica copy of master. Okay, status and pull. Status is more when we have a CI/CD pipelines integrated with this repository, then you can see the status. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's pull the changes, whatever changes we have it on a remote repository. So let's do this. Let's do a git pull origin master. So we have few changes, like we added hello again, so I'm just pulling that change. So this is the command. So if I go and look my hello text again, txt, so even on my local I have hello again. Okay, let's switch to, okay, so if I go and check on my local, okay, we have hello again over here again. Okay, let's check out one develop branch on my local as well. So this is the command git checkout -b develop. So it will create a develop branch locally, as well as it will check out to develop branch. Okay, now let's add few more files. Echo, let's name it as Java code here and name it as java.txt, and let me add and commit Java code. I'll just push this change, push origin. I'm pushing it to my develop branch, not to my master. Okay, so that's why I'm mentioning origin develop. So the changes will get pushed in my develop branch. Okay, let me add one more commit. I want multiple commits so that I can show you how do we cherry pick and those things. Okay, so let's add echo. Let name it as .NET code. Net code. Net.txt. Git commit. Okay, I'm just giving the simplest way. Over here all your development code will come. Okay, so I'll just do a push again, origin develop. Okay, let's go back to my Azure Git and let's see the files. Okay, so if you see develop branch, I have my java.txt, java code, .NET.txt. Okay, so it's net code over here. Now if I switch to my master branch, okay, I, I don't have those files. Okay, so it will take me to the new topic. How do we how do we merge the develop and the master branch? Okay, now let's switch back to develop. Okay, okay, so there are multiple changes over here. So if I do a pull request, so again let's come to a pull request. Okay, so in this we can create a pull request between develop and the master branch. So when we do a pull request, the complete develop branch, whatever changes are there in the develop branch, it will get pulled and it will get merged with the master branch. And if you check the branches now, my develop branch is ahead. Okay, there are two new changes in develop branch which is not part of master. That's why it's showing as ahead. Okay, let's create a pull request. So just click on new pull request. At the top, if you see, it's develop already selected and it's going in master. Files, there are two changes. There are two commits. Okay, you can give a title, merging develop with master. Whatever you want to give, you can give it. You can, if you click over here, you'll get all the commit message automatically. Reviewers, it's good to add reviewers, so I'll add myself as a reviewer. It's even good to add work items, like what exactly you're doing, that needs to be tracked. If you want to give some tag, this is not your version control tag. Okay, this is just you're tagging this particular pull request, like what exactly changes you're doing, like it's an application change, application code based change, so you can just tag that way. So anyone coming in and checking this pull request, they will come to know that this is an application code based change. Okay, I create a pull request. Okay, it automatically checks if there's a conflict. If there's any conflict, it will prompt you that there was a conflict and you need to fix that conflict. Description is right over here, and the person who and if you want to add any comments, like please check we have added this code, those comments and everything can be visible right over here. Okay, and at the right hand side, if you come, you have reviewers. So if you want to have some required reviewers added, without his approval or her approval, this pull request will not get completed. So you can have a required approval over here. As if now I'm been added as a optional review. Okay, now if you see the tag which we just added while creating this pull request, it's added. Work items, if you want to link any work items, you can just link your work items directly. Okay, at the top now we have the approver, approve with suggestion, wait for author, reject. So this is what I can do because I've added myself as approver. So similarly you can do it. Complete, mark as mark as draft or abandoned. These are the options. Now if you check the files, so these are the changes which is getting merged with master branch now. Updates, so these are the commit history, what we are updating, what will get updated. Like if I push this, these commit history will get be pushed. Commits, these are the two set of commits. So what I can do now, I can just approve this. It's been approved. If you see, uh, Rohit has approved the pull request. Okay, now I can click on complete. Okay, so if I click on complete, we have different type of merge over here. Let's understand that first before even jumping and doing this complete merge, because we are doing a squash commit. Let's understand what exactly is that. Okay, so there are four types of commit. Merge commit, what you can do, merge type I can say, that is merge, that is no fast forward, squash commit, rebase and fast forward, semi-linear merge. Okay, so what exactly is this merge commit? Okay, so merge commit is the default integration strategy in Azure Repos. Okay, so by default, people developer prefer doing a merge commit. The what how this strategy is helpful. So this strategy will safeguard all the commits, and it will have a non-linear commit base. Okay, so if you see this graph, so it is safeguarding all the commits, and it's creating a non-linear history. If it's written over here, it's a non-linear history preserving all commits. So this strategy is helpful if you want to track down like who has done what commit was done. Okay, squash commit. Okay, so if you talk about squash commit, the squash commit will create a new commit. When you do use a squash commit, it will squash all your previous commits. So you won't see the previous commit history. It will squash everything as one single commit, and in the master branch you will see just one single commit. So tracking down backtracking things could be very difficult, but again it creates a linear commit. Okay, let's create a linear commit with a clear history. Linear history with only a single commit on the target. So read out over here, linear history with only a single commit at the target. So use squash commit very wisely. If your project has demand wherein you have to backtrack all the commits, never go with squash commit. Okay, again if you talk about rebase and fast forward commit, okay, so again it's very interesting. Rebase will take each individual commit in the pull request and cherry pick them onto the master branch. So in simple word, this strategy is used, its history is straight, and as well as it will create a linear commit for you. So if you see this graph, it is just taking the header and it is moving it. It is creating a linear history for you. At the same time, it is even preserving all the commits. So rebase source commit onto target and fast forward. Okay, let's talk about semi-linear merge commit. So semi-linear merge commit is most exotic merge commit in Azure DevOps, wherein it is a mix of a rebase as well as merge commit. Okay, so let's see this. In semi-linear, what exactly happens? The rebase source commit onto the target, and it creates two parent merge. So this strategy is more like if you want to backtrack everything, so individual commits are retained, you can see how the work has evolved. So this is again a very good merging strategy in Azure DevOps. Okay, mostly projects they prefer merge commit, wherein they have all the individual commits retained, and they also prefer squash commit, wherein when they are merging, when the production deployment is done, everything looks good. When they're merging the entire thing to the master branch from the release branch, at that time they use squash commit because they don't want to retain, or they don't want to junk all those individual commit onto the master branch. So at that time they prefer squash commit. Okay, we'll do merge commit itself in a video tutorial. I'll show you both commits, merge as well as squash. Okay, over here we have multiple options like complete associated work item. So if you check this box, your associated work item will get closed, or it will be marked as completed. Delete develop after merging, we don't do this. If this option is checked, your develop branch will be deleted. Customize merge commit message, if you want to customize this message, you can do that. Okay, we are doing nothing from here. We'll create a complete merge. Okay, so the merge was completed. If you see the merge was completed, now let's go to branches, and if you go to master branch, in the master branch, if you see, we have this two changes: java.txt and net.txt files are there. Okay, so Now let's come back. Let's imagine you get a scenario where whatever things you have merged to master, it has a bug. Now you want to revert those changes. So how do we revert in Azure Git? So Azure Git is very simple. The revert process is very simple. Let's simply go in commits in master branch. Let's go in commits. I'll show you how do we revert. Okay. Now if you see, there's a very good looking graph. As we did a merge commit, we have a Java code, .NET code commit history as well as in my master repository. Okay, because we did a merge commit, we have all the individual commits right now. And we have a merge created over here. This is the latest. This is the merge which was created, wherein we have added two text files, Java and .NET. Okay, now if you want to do a revert, and the top of it, three dots, if you see, there's an option. Cherry pick, we'll see what exactly cherry pick is. Revert, and we'll see this revert option. Create tag and new branch, we'll see that later. Let's create a revert. So as soon as you click on this revert from inside, there's a new branch, a temporary branch gets created. So this is a temporary branch which is getting created out of this commit. Okay, and it's getting created on target branch master because we are reverting changes on master branch. Okay, now if you see, a new pull request was automatically created. So this is again the same form which I just showed you 5 minutes ago. This is the same form which got created. Now if you go inside files, see this, these two files are getting reverted from master branch. We are removing, so there's new revert commit is happening. Okay, let's move it again. If you want to add approver tags, work items, everything, you can do it. I'll just skip all this. I'll just click on commit. Again, this time I'll do a squash commit. Already showed you what exactly merge commit is. Let's do a squash commit. This time I'll delete my temporary branch. I don't want this temporary branch to be there. If I uncheck this, this temporary branch would be visible in the branches. Okay, I don't want that. So I'll just go ahead and make this, revert this. Okay. Now let's go into files. It's completed. See, both the file got removed. If I go in commits, I see a revert now. Now if you see resquash, because we did a squash, so as if we won't get the pen because we're just reverting one commit. So you can see the history, merge commit, and from merge we did the revert commit for this. Okay, so this is what revert is. There's one more important topic, cherry pick. Okay, so let's talk about when exactly would you do cherry pick. Imagine in your company you will have several branching and merging strategies. So basically develop branch is used for all set of developments. So it's not necessary that all your develop work will be put together in production or it will go in production. Out of 100, I would roughly say 10 or 20 development work will be moved to production. Okay, so at that time this pull request will not work, because if you do a pull, everything will get pulled from your develop to master, which is this is something what we don't want. So at that time cherry pick comes in picture, wherein we can cherry pick from develop to master. Okay, let's go in develop branch. Okay, now in develop branch commits, if we go, I have two change, like I have a .NET code and I have a Java code. Okay, if I do a pull request, we already saw that if I do a pull request, everything will get pulled. I don't want that. Out of this Java code and .NET code, I just want to put Java code. Okay, I'm just giving an example, very simple and basic example. So in your development you could have multiple commits. So out of those commits, if you just want to put 10 commits, you can do that. Okay, in my case, I'm just putting this Java code into my master branch now, which will go in production. Okay, so as soon as you click on commit, come back over here, this three dots, there's an option cherry pick. Okay, cherry pick, where exactly you want to cherry pick from develop? You want to cherry pick to master. I've selected master. Again, same thing happens. It creates a temporary branch because you're putting this change into master. Commit ID. So the format is commit ID. This is your commit ID on where you're putting your master. So this is the format what it uses. I click cherry pick. Similar, it will give you the same pull request form, but this time it is just pulling one single commit for you, not the entire change. Okay, it got the description automatically cherry picked. From this temporary branch, it is going in master now. So we have a temporary branch, it's going in master. I'll just go ahead and do a create. Again, I don't want to, if you want to add reviewers and everything, you can add it. Files, this is the only code which is getting one changed. Only file which is getting cherry picked, committed. I'll just click on commit. I'll again do a squash commit. I want to delete this master. And if you want to have the individual commits, you can even have you can select merge for that, or you can use rebase passport, or you can use semi-linear. So this would be totally what is your project requirement. Okay. So this would be totally your decision, what needs to be done, how you want your changes to reflect. I'll stick to squash. So merging pull requests, the changes are happening right now in the backend. It's done. Let's go in files. Let's change the branch to master. See, I just got Java inside it. So this Java code is there inside it, not the .NET code. Now let's go and see commit. If you see commit, I have only this Java code changes. I don't have the way we had the individual commit over here at this line. We don't have it. So this is just Java code, one single commit. That is what squash commit is. Okay, so basically we have covered all the things, all the things, squash, what is semi-linear and everything. The only thing is pending is tagging. How do we tag in Azure Git? Okay, so using Azure Git, if you want to tag, so there's an option tag over here, tags. Click on tags. Click on new tag. Okay, name it as version 1.0 master added Java code. This was the latest commit what we did, correct? So that latest commit will get tagged automatically. Whatever latest push you do, that will get tagged. See, added. Now if you go in commits, see, it got tagged as version 1.0. Okay, now if you go in files over here as well, you will see the tags. So as soon as you go in the tags, it will take you to that commit. Okay, that's version 1.0. So overall, this was all. Hello all. In this session, we'll talk about Azure DevOps Service Connection. We'll understand what exactly is Service Connection. We'll see few examples. Later, we'll create Service Connection. We'll create Service Connection by automation, and we'll create Service Connection manually. Okay. If you guys are new to this channel, please like, share, and subscribe. Okay. Thank you. Let's start. So a service connection enables you to connect to external and remote services to execute tasks in a job. For example, if you want to connect to Azure Cloud, so you need to set up an Azure subscription service connection. Okay. So like you have a Azure DevOps, you need to create a service connection, and post that you can connect to Azure Cloud, and post that all the resources of Azure. You can make use of web app, you can make use of Azure Kubernetes service, you can make use of Azure containers. So in order to access all Azure resources and services, you need to create a service connection. Similarly, to a different build service or to a file server. If you want to connect to a different build server, for example, if you want to connect to a Sonarqube server, wherein you want to run a static code analytics, So you need to again create a service connection. If you want to connect to a Git repository like GitHub, GitLab, again you need to set up a service connection. So these are few examples by which for which you need service connection. Without that you cannot communicate or interact or do anything. So a service connection is very much essential. So we'll see further, like there are multiple ways of creating a service connection. We'll see two ways in which in the first way I'll be creating a user and using Azure AD, and we'll set up a service connection. The second, we'll start with creating a app registration. We'll register our app and we'll make use of Microsoft Identity Platform, which can provide authentication and authorization to our application and the users on it. Okay, so let's see the second method first. We'll create a Azure app registration. We'll do a app registration and we'll create a service connection based on that. Let me go back to my portal. I'm in Azure Cloud right now. I'll just go in Azure Active Directory. I'll go in app registration. I'll click on new registration. I'll just give a random name as web app. Okay, I'll keep the default option. I don't have any URL. If you have a URL for your application, you can mention that over here. Okay, so my web app has been created. I'll go back to my cloud portal again. So as of now, we have just created and we have just registered our app. We have not given any access. Okay, so we need to firstly go ahead and provide a subscription access. So I'll just go, this is my subscription, pay as you go. If you want to have a look where exactly your subscription is, just look for subscription. And this is the only subscription what I have right now in this account. So I'll just select that. I'll go in access control and I'll go in role assessment. As of now, this is the only role provided. So this is given to the owner. I'll just click on add role assessments. I'll select the role. For now, I just give a owner access. I'll give my web application name. That's web app. That's selected. Save. So I've registered my app. I've given the required access to my app. Now let's go back to a DevOps, Azure DevOps portal. Go in project settings. As of now, I don't have any service connection in this account, so I'll just create a new one. So we'll create a Azure Resource Manager service connection because we want to access Azure cloud services. Okay, I'll do it manually this time. I'll show you automatic way as well. So for now, we'll do it manually. Let's go to next. It's asking for a subscription ID. As I go in my subscription overview, I'll get my subscription ID right over here. I'll just copy it, paste it over here. Subscription name, I'll just select my subscription name as pay as you go. Service principal, that this is looking for my app service principal. So I'm in my web app. In this, I'll select application ID as my service principal. Service principal key, we may have to generate a service principal key. In your app, go in certificates and secrets. In this, click on new client secrets. Give any name, like I'll just name it as web app. Expiry, you can select your expiry. Just click on add. We have the value now, so I'll just copy this value. I'll paste it right over here. Now, tenant ID, again going back in my web app overview, we have a tenant ID right over here. Just copy this, come back, put it over here. Let's verify and see if everything is working good. So here we go. The verification was successful. Now let's give a name to this service connection. We'll name it as Azure Trial. Give whatever name you want. I'll just do a verify and save. Okay, so we have this service connection created. Okay, now if I go back to my pipelines, if I want to use this service connection, I'll go and release. I'll click new pipeline. Let's add any stage. Okay, I'm getting an error now because these settings are required. So we already have service connection created. That's the only service connection what we have created. If I just go and drop down, if you see this, I have this Azure trial created. Okay, I can use this. Okay, I can use this now and we can create a build pipeline. So this was one way in which I have made use of service app registration option and have created a service connection. The other way which we were discussing of creating a new user in Azure AD. Okay, let's go and see that way also. Okay, I am logged in currently as a devopsmela at gmail.com. Okay, and my portal, if you quickly have a look on my portal, over here I am logged in as test.rohitks at gmail. So these are two different accounts what we are using. Okay, so let's go in my Azure AD. I just wanted to show that I'm using two different accounts. My Azure DevOps account is different. My Azure Cloud account is different. Okay, now let's go in user. Now I'll create a guest user. I'll create a user based on invite base. So I'll name it as DevOps. Email ID was devopsmela at gmail.com. First name I'll name it as DevOps itself. Last name I'll give it as Mela. This is my channel. If you guys are not subscribed, please subscribe. I'll keep all the information as it is. If you want to put some job information, title and those things, you can do that. I'll go and click and create this user first. Okay, we have successfully created a guest user right now, and the invitation has been sent on my email ID. We'll see that later. I'll just click on this user. As of now, this user has not been given any roles or responsibilities. So we'll firstly go and assign some roles to it. So I'll click on assign roles and I'll click on add assignments. In this, for now, I'll just give a global admin role to this user. Okay, I've given the global admin role. Till now, the user can't access anything using the pipeline. So we'll go and again add. We'll give access to this subscription to the newly user what we have created. So I'll go and access control roles. So in this, I just have my web app which we created earlier. We don't have that user added. So let's go and add that user first. Add role assessment. Again, I'll give a owner access. If you see, I have this guest user right over here. I'll select that. I'll save it. Okay, we have assigned the role, but still we cannot access. This user cannot access the pipeline. Okay, now go back. I'll open my email. I might have received an invitation from Microsoft. So I'll just go and accept that invitation. This is not the latest email. This is the latest email which I have received. sign out and sign in. Okay, I'll go and accept it. So done. 3 steps what we did over here. Firstly we created the guest user, we assigned roles to the user, then we given required access to the user, okay, in my subscription. We want to have a look if the user is added or not. So here we go, the user has been added over here. Now let's go back to our pipelines. Now let's create a new pipeline again. Let's add a stage. Now this time let's refresh it. Now if you see, I'm getting pay as you go right now. Okay, the subscription which you see below, that does not belongs to this cloud, that belongs to a different cloud account. Okay, so pay as you go CF7B, this is the CF7B, this is the subscription what we're using. So we can see that subscription now. I'll select this. We need to authorize. So what exactly it will do, when you click on authorize in the backend, it will create a service connection for you. Okay, let's click on authorize. It will prompt you for the user ID and password. Here we go. Okay, let's wait for this authorization. It may take around 10-15 seconds. Let's wait. Okay, now if you see it's been authorized, we are ready to use this subscription now. I'll show you in the backend what exactly has happened. If I go back to my project settings, service connection, you see there's a service connection created. If I go back over here, we can manage a service connection. If I go and click on this connection rules, it will take me back to pay as you go, and it will take me back to the access control, wherein we can see the access given. Now if you see, we have a app registered automatically, devopsmela web app, it got registered automatically. So lastly, in the when we were doing things manually, even we have created a web app. Now even in an automatic way, a web app was registered and a contributor access was given. Now if I go in the service principal, see in the service principal, app application ID, your tenant ID, and if you go in secrets, we have a secrets created. So this is what we did manually. The same thing happens when you do it through automatic way. Hey, hi all, and welcome to my channel devopsmela. In this video tutorial, we'll talk about what exactly is pipeline as a code. So just an FYI, it's a continuation of my Azure DevOps series. In my previous videos, we have created a build pipeline using classic mode, okay, classic way. Now in this, we'll be creating a build pipeline using Yaml Script. I'm getting lots of query that why don't I create a build pipeline using Yaml Script. So this is for them. If you guys are new to this channel, please subscribe to my channel and like, share and comment. Okay. So before we move on, let's understand what exactly is pipeline as a code. Okay. So it's a clear-cut definition. Pipeline as a code is a practice of defining deployment pipelines through source code. Okay, so what now a developer has an add-on benefit. They can specify the stages, jobs and actions for the pipeline to perform. So while they are doing the development, at the same time they can define their build pipelines as well. Okay, there are several benefits. Let's talk about few of using pipeline as a code. It's version control. So changes are traceable and teams can roll back to previous configuration any given point of time using pipeline as a code. Audit trials, so developer can see when changes were made to the source code. So even auditing is very much easier now. Ease of collaboration, Code is available and visible for improvement. So the code are available in source code, like the source code tools would be Git, GitHub, GitLab, Azure Git. In our case, we would be using Azure Git. Knowledge sharing. Now developer can share best practice, import templates and link code snippets. So other teams can learn and they can even reuse it. So these are few benefits of pipeline as a code. So what are the steps we're going to follow in this complete tutorial would be, we already understood what exactly is pipeline as a code pack. We'll create a YAML script. I'll show you how to create a YAML script. And let me be very clear, if you guys have no experience, if you don't know how to write a YAML script, then don't worry, we'll be using the easiest way of creating a YAML script build pipeline in this video tutorial. So if you don't, like don't worry if you don't have any experience or if you have never written YAML script in your life. So I'll be showing you the easiest way. How do we create a YAML script pipeline? Okay, and we'll be running the pipeline and we'll testing the build pipeline. Okay. So let's go in and jump onto the Azure DevOps console and see how exactly the YAML script will be, what exactly we are doing. So we'll be running a Java Maven project using a YAML build pipeline. So this is just for example, this is what we're gonna do. Okay, don't worry, I'll be showing how exactly I've written this and how you guys can even do it. So I'll be using a Java project. Let me switch back to my Java project. Let's create a pipeline, a build pipeline now. Let's go ahead and create a build pipeline. So I'm in pipelines. Under pipelines, I click on new pipeline. I'll select my source code repository. So Azure Git is where my source code is, and it's a Java project. Okay, so there are multiple options of creating a YAML. We can do a starter pipeline, or if you have a YAML file already created, we can directly use that. But we'll stick with Maven because it's a Maven project. So we'll click on Maven and we'll have all the default option of Maven. So if you see, we got one task added, and we have we have a trigger added. So whenever there's a code change happening in master branch, this pipeline will auto trigger. And we have an agent pool added on which the build will be running. So it's an Ubuntu agent pool which has been added by default. And these are the tasks. Okay, so we have a build task added to it, but this is not sufficient, guys. We need a copy task and we need a publish artifact task too, so that we can get the desired output. Okay, so let me walk you through this task first. So this is a Maven task added, wherein we are giving an input as a pom.xml. We have the Java options and we have a JUnit result. So while running the build, we are even running a JUnit test. Okay, and we have a good amount of tests running in the backend. So we'll have a test result at the end. Okay, so before we move ahead, we need to add a few more tasks. I'll show you how do we exactly add it. Even though if you're not familiar with YAML, that's not an issue. We have a very good tool incorporated. We have a show assistance tool from where we can take out the task, whichever task you want to add. So over here we want to add a copy task. Okay, so what exactly this task does, I'll just talk about that. The source folder, we have a default variable for this source folder. We'll just add this system default working directory. What exactly this does, so it's a local path on the agent pool agent where your source code is copied. Okay, so this is the part where exactly our source code is copied. So this is the source folder. Contain, again, we don't want all the contains, we just need the jar. Okay, so we just need this jar contain, but this is the jar which will get deployed in your end server, whether it's a server on Azure, whether it's a server on AWS. So this is the place where it will get stored. Okay, so we just need .jar file. The target folder, where exactly, again we'll be using Microsoft default variable, that is build artifact staging directory. What exactly is this? So the local path on the agent where any artifacts are copied. So from the source folder, the artifacts are copied at this particular location. Okay, let's add this as well. Okay, so this is done, guys. I just click on add and we'll have that task added. This is that easy. So you can add any amount of tasks, like the first task what we added, the Maven task. You can add that too by just running Maven in it, and you'll get all the Maven options over here. Okay, you can add that too. Now the next task what we want to add is the publish artifact task. So we need the task added. Just give me. Okay. So the next task what we need to add is the publish task. So I'll just go in task and just type publish artifact. Okay, this is the task what we need to add. So we already have the target folder and we are dropping that artifact, whatever artifact gets created with this build pipeline, we're dropping that artifact in the drop location. You can change the folder name based on your requirement. We'll keep it default and I'll just add this task. So when this task is added, let's save it. I'm not running it for now. I'll just save it. Okay. Now let's go into repository and see what exactly we have created. This is what we have created. So there's a when you create a pipeline using a YAML script, this is the file which gets created by default, Azure Pipelines.yaml, and it's created in my Java project repository. And this is the task. We have three tasks. We have a build task, we have a copy artifact task, and we have a drop task, wherein we are dropping the artifact, whatever the artifact is created. Let's run this build pipeline and let's see if all whatever we did it's right or not. Okay, or do we need to do any changes? So I'll just go in Java project. This is the project which got created. This is the pipeline which got created. I'll just run the pipeline. Okay, so my pipeline has executed. This will take approx 4 to 5 minutes. So let's wait for that and let's come back again when this pipeline is completed. So the pipeline has already started running. So let's hold down for some minute and let's come back. Hello all and welcome back. So yeah, my build pipeline is completed now. If you see, all the steps are successful and we got one artifact. Let's click on the artifact and see what exactly do we have. Okay, so we have a wrapper, we have a .jar file. Okay, so let's go back and see. So this is the build pipeline is already successful. We have the test result is 100%. Remember, we were running JUnit test as well, and plus we have the YAML file created in our source code. So whenever a developer wishes to amend and make changes to this build pipeline, they can directly make changes to this YAML script. Okay, this is how we write a YAML script, and this is how we run a pipeline as a code. Okay, and hey, hi all, welcome to my channel devopsmela. So this is a part 3 of Sonarqube integration with Azure DevOps. Till now we have launched EC2 instance, we have installed Docker container, we have set up Sonarqube, we have configured Azure DevOps repository, not the repository, we have created the configuration and the configuration was valid, not the repository, sorry for that. Now we'll create a Azure project in Sonarqube dashboard and we'll integrate our repository where we have the code. So we'll have the repository. I have the demo code in my GitLab account, so anyone want to clone it, we have that link in my description box. Okay, so next let's create the project. Okay, let's create. Click over here. Once you log into a Sonarqube dashboard, click on add project. Now you are able to see Azure DevOps option, so click on top of it. It will ask for access token. In my previous video I've already created an access token and I've given all the required rights. So I'll just put this access token over here. If you guys want to check how to do it, please check my previous video, and we'll list all our repository. So this is my project, Python web app. In this project I have this Java project. I'll set up my selected repository now. How do we want to run this? There are two options. How do you want to analyze your repository? We'll do it through Azure Pipelines. Okay. First step, so it's giving there are 4 steps which needs to be followed on Azure DevOps board. The first step is when you're creating a pipeline, you should have that token, like Sonarqube extension, not the token. Please excuse me for that. So when you go in pipelines, let's create a new pipeline altogether. Let's take with classic editor. This is my repository. I'm pointing it. This is my project name. My codes are at Azure Repos Git. You can put your code in GitHub, Git Enterprise, depending how do you want to use it. For this video tutorial, I'll be using Azure Repos. So I request you guys to stick with Azure Repos. Just clone your code from my GitLab account and put it in Azure Repos. And how exactly that needs to be done, if you want to know it, let me know in the comment box. We'll have a tutorial created on top of it. What kind of project it is? It's a Java project. I'll just look for Java. So there are multiple ways you can create a build of the Java project. You can use Azure Web App for Java. You can use and build and test Java project. You can make use of Gradle. For this project, we'll be using Maven build and test Java project. Maven is an Apache Maven open source, so we'll stick with that. Okay, I'll just change this name over here. I'll just name it as Java project. Okay, I'm not gonna explain all this task and what exactly it is doing. Okay, we have a complete CI/CD series wherein I'm explaining what exactly triggers are. So I'm not explaining. Please check my Azure DevOps video for this. The only important information: this is my project created. This is the source created. This is the Maven POM XML file from where I'll have that XML which is needed by Maven for running this build. I have some test use case, so this is checked if you want to run test cases as well, so we'll run that too. Once that is done, we'll copy the files. So there's a build package created, so that we'll copy the file in Azure Cloud. From there it will get dropped into my cloud location. So this is what this 3 tasks are doing. What exactly we need to do over here, what this step is saying, that we need a extension. This step, where we go, Sonarqube extension. So Sonarqube extension, in my case, I've already installed that, but in your case, you guys, when you'll put Sonarqube over here, it will give you an option to install the Sonarqube extension. So just install it. If you want to look how exactly it looks like in marketplace, so this is the extension which you need to install it. Okay, so once you install it, just click next, and it will get installed. And after installation, these are the options what you will see. Okay, coming back next, the step 1 is done. Coming back next, it's a service connection. This is the task what we have over here as well. Service connection creation between Azure DevOps and Sonarqube. So we'll just quickly create a service connection. Come back over here. Let's keep it as it is. I'll open project setting page in a new tab. I'll click on service connection. This is inside project settings. I'll click on new service connection. Over here I'll select Sonarqube. Now we have Sonarqube. So this is visible after you install Sonarqube extension. Prior that it won't be visible. Service URL. So we'll copy this service URL what we have. We'll put the service URL. Again, it will ask for a token. How do we generate? Just click on this and just give the project name. We have the token. If you want to have a note, keep it separate somewhere, put it over here. Sonarqube token. Okay, so we have the token. Give any name. Give name as Java project Sonarqube. Done. Description. Give any description, whatever you want. Grant access permission to all pipelines. Very good. It's done. Okay, so we have done with the step 2. Let's go on the third. So this is configure analysis. Coming back over here, this is a step. Service connection done. Now Maven build pipeline will integrate demo Java code on top of it. So this is the Maven project. We'll select Maven. Again, there's a few steps which needs to be followed. So very important. In Azure DevOps, create a edit build pipeline. Pipeline is already created. We are just creating the pipeline. Add a task, prepare analysis configuration. Okay, so let's add it. Just close this. For add in agent job 1, add that. Prepare analysis, spelling mistake, not spelling mistake, space. We'll add this. This should run at the very top. So I'll just move it at the top. Okay, here we go. So move it at the top. I'll just zoom out. Prepare analysis on Sonarqube. If you want to change, you can change it. Service connection. This is the endpoint what we just created between Azure DevOps and Sonarqube. Let's do that. Project key and project name. Okay, that is important. We'll have the project name. So our project name is, oh, my system is slow, it seems. My project name is Java project and I already have a project key. Let's close this window, not required. My project name is Java project. Project name is Java project. We already have a key. Put the key. Very good. In advance, there's one more setting needs to be changed to Java. This is the thing which you just copy. I'll talk about that in a bit, like what exactly it is. So what we are giving a Sonarqube project key as Python web app Java project. That's it. We are all set. This step is done. Publish quality gate result, triggers and all. If you want to publish, like there's one more step after this. Under code analysis, check Sonarqube and Sonarqube cloud analysis. That is, we have to check. Integrate with MS Build, integrate with Maven Gradle. So this is Maven Gradle. Output variable, there is nothing we can define, so this looks good to me. Coming back, there's a step in Maven. Come back over here, it's publish Azure Pipeline. So this needs to be checked, code analytics. Then only your analysis will start. Run Sonarqube or Sonar Cloud Analytics. Okay, so this is done. Add a new publish gate result task to publish Sonarqube quality gate result on build pipeline summary. If you want, we can do it. This is not that required, but if you want, we can just add it. Publish quality gate results. Let's add publish quality, if you want to publish it as soon, because we will be checking those information on Sonarqube dashboard itself. Okay, so we'll have this task, add it. You can keep it over here in the step 3, that's totally fine. Under triggers tab of your pipeline, enable continuous integration. So that is okay. If you want to have a continuous integration done, we can select this option. That is okay. Save the pipeline and run the pipeline. That is what we are getting. So let's save it. Save in queue. My first build. First build. Azure pipeline pool is okay. Ubuntu machine is okay. Master will stick with the default option. Save and run. Okay, so guys, this has started. This step is time consuming, so I'll just stop this video. I'll resume back when this is completed. Okay. Okay, so the build is successful now. If you see, it took around 5 minutes for completion of this build. And let's see the artifact, what we have in the artifact. So it's a Maven project, so we'll definitely have a Maven file created, a repo. Maven wrapper.jar got created. We have some SQL analytics, we have some target. This is the artifact which got created. So this is a dashboard where we can see everything. So there were testing also, we did multiple tests. So these are the test results. So it was 100% test. So the more importantly, what we want to check are code analytics. So we had multiple, if you check this, we have multiple tasks added. Okay. Wherein we have prepared for Sonarqube analytics. We have checked the Sonarqube scanner option. Then we have a publish gate. So this is even equally important. So once the scan happens, this task will help you to publish the information. So where exactly it got published? So it should be published on a Sonarqube dashboard. So let's quickly jump on to Sonarqube dashboard and see what do we see over there. Here we go. So this is the project which got, in this we found around 210 bugs. We have 9 vulnerability, 7 security hotspots, 985 code smells. If you go inside, bit inside, we can dig in. So like for example, if you want to see what this bug was, so this is kind of a code smell. And guys, if you want to know what exactly code smell and all these features of, so code smell is not a feature of Sonarqube, it is a part of Sonarqube. Code smell is a simple term wherein it will smell anything which can cause an issue in future for you. So if you see, remove the unused import. So this import is not getting used in this entire code base. So unnecessary, we are calling this a library. So that is part of the code smell. And this is an overview of your dashboard, like what all information. So this type of check or Sonarqube does for you. Okay. So this is very helpful tool for all the developers. So on the first hand itself, they can do all this Sonar, all the code check. Even Sonarqube comes with SonarLint, which can be integrated with your IDEs. So when you're developing the code, at the same time you can scan the code as well. So this was a complete video about Sonarqube integration with Azure DevOps. And if you guys want any specific tutorial about a complete tutorial on Sonarqube, hello all and welcome to my channel devopsmela. This is Rohit Singh. Let's quickly discuss the agenda for this video tutorial. So what exactly we're gonna do? We firstly will create a ASP.NET Core web application. Then we'll create a ARM template from scratch in order to deploy this ASP.NET Core application on Azure Web App on Azure portal. So for doing this, we'll be having a build pipeline. The entire thing would be done through Azure DevOps CI/CD pipelines. So we'll be creating a build pipeline using Yaml Script. Okay, again, this is something we'll be creating from scratch. Then we'll be creating a release pipeline in order to create the infrastructure using this ARM template and later deploy the ASP.NET application. Okay, so before we proceed, if you guys are new to this channel, please subscribe to my channel. In future, I'll be coming up with such type of videos a lot. Okay, and please like, dislike, and give your feedback in the comment box, and do let me know if you're liking or disliking this video. Okay, and if you guys have any suggestions for me, please put it in the comment box, and I will definitely try my best to work on those suggestions. Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead and run the first step of creating a Azure.NET Core web application. Okay, before that, I want to create a blank repository because this entire thing would be done on Azure Git. So let me create a blank repository. Let me clone this repository so that we can work on it. Guys, if you're new to this Git, or if you're not familiar with Azure Git, please do check my videos. I have a video on Git, how to work on Git, and how to work on Azure Git both. Please do go and check. Okay, I have the repository created, a blank repository created right over here. Let's minimize it. Let's open Visual Studio. So I'm using Visual Studio 2019 in order to create the web application. So I'll be using the default templates what we get with this Visual Studio. I'll be using the same default templates for my purpose. So I'll be just look for a ASP.NET Web Core. I don't want the API, this one, C#. So let's go ahead and click next. Let's name your project name as Web App Core. Make sure this is in the repository folder itself. Okay, this is at the right location. I'm using .NET Core 3.1 version LTS. Let's keep all the options default. Nothing needs to be changed. Let's go ahead and create this project. So we have successfully created a .NET Core web application. Let's wait till the time this project gets loaded. While this is running in the backend, let's go and understand what exactly is ARM. Okay, because the next step is we would be creating a ARM template. So what exactly those are, let's understand that. So what exactly is ARM? So ARM stands for Azure Resource Manager. Okay, so ARM is the deployment and management service for Azure Cloud. If you want to deploy and manage any resources or services on Azure Cloud, so using ARM we can easily do that. Okay, so nowadays in the DevOps environment, people follow Agile and Scrum methods, wherein as soon as they do the development, they want to deploy that thing and they want to test that thing. Now they don't have time to wait for a infrastructure team wherein they are spinning up the infra, then they are giving the infra to the DevOps team, giving the infra to the developer, then they are deploying the change. So it's a waste of time. They are working on iteration and sprints now. So as soon as they develop, at the same time they want to deploy things. So infrastructure as a code is a method wherein your with their code base, like whatever they have deployed, they have a additional file which will set up the infra for them. So if you're working on Azure portal and if you're making use of Azure resources, ARM is the right tool to use if you want to follow infrastructure as a code methodology. Okay, so what exactly it does, it provides a management layer that enables you to create, update, and delete resources on your Azure account. So what exactly it uses to implement infrastructure as a code, it uses a Azure resources management templates. Okay, what exactly these templates are? These templates are a JSON file. It's a JavaScript object notation file that defines the infrastructure and configure your project. It will help you to define in this JSON file. You can define your infrastructure the way you want to the way you want to spin the resources with all the properties and everything. Okay, that is what we're gonna see now. Okay, there are few advantages of ARM template. I have just mentioned the four. There are multiple advantages, but these are the four important advantages which you can refer. So firstly, the ARM template follows declarative syntax. So it allows you to create and deploy an entire Azure infrastructure declaratively. Okay, in sequentially you can whatever is your need you can define in the template, and that will get implemented and deployed in a sequential manner. It will help you to repeatable results, so you can use the same deployment throughout the life cycle. So you're saving your work. One ARM template can be deployed on multiple environments. Okay, orchestration. So resource manager orchestrate the deployment of independent resources, so they are created in the correct order. So all whatever resources are mentioned in your ARM template, so it is orchestrated and in correct order it gets deployed. The main important part, the CI/CD integration. So you can integrate your templates for continuous integration and continuous deployment. This is the part what we're gonna see right now. Okay, so this is a short description about ARM and ARM templates. Now let's go ahead and see if our web application is up. Okay, so web application is up right now. Now let's make few changes to the index file. Let's run welcome to, so that we can identify this is our change. Welcome to ARM web page. Okay, let's save it for now. Okay. Okay guys, before we go and create this ARM template from scratch, let's see there are multiple quick ways of creating ARM templates. One of the ways are if you're logged in on Azure portal, and if you have any of your resources running, like if you have any dummy resources, like for example, I'm just creating a web app. Just give a web app name, devopsmela, stack 3.1, Windows is fine, region is fine. Let's go in deployment. Let's keep all the information as it is. Okay, now I'll not go and create this web app over here, but now if you see over here, I'm getting an option to download a template. So this is nothing but it's a ARM template which got created. Okay, if we want we can just download it and we can include it in the project. This is a one way. There are other ways, like if you want to use some custom templates, you have those options as well. Okay, so if you see deploy a custom template, if you click on it, there are common templates which gets used frequently is already there. You just have to click and start using it. And if you want to build your own template from scratch, you get an editor on Azure portals as well. Azure portal as well. You can start using this from here. Okay. Now, if you don't want, and if you don't have any dummy resource, and if you don't want to use this building your own template editor, or you don't want to use this common template, that's totally fine. There are n number of templates already available on GitHub. I'll show you how to access that quick. ARM templates. You just go and search. If you search on GitHub, you see these are the n number of templates. There are people continuously working and updating this GitHub repository. So whichever you like if it suits your requirement, you can go ahead and you can use the JSON file from here. Okay, this is again an example. We are not using in this tutorial. I'm not using this quick help or not even the Azure portal. We'll create the ARM template from scratch for this tutorial. Okay, but do look, if you get anything out of the box, that is good. Okay, so we'll go and create a ARM template. I'll open the project. I'll click on add new project and I'll look for Azure resource group. Okay, this is the option. So guys, if you're not able to see this option in your Visual Studio, just go and check whether you have Azure development kit installed or not, if package installed or not. If not installed, please go ahead and install that. Okay, I'll name it as ARM web core. It's in the same repository directory. The framework I'm using 4.7.2. Let's go and create. Again over here, if you see in the drop down, you have some quick start. It's again referring to the GitHub repository, so you can use the templates directly, and you have some common templates available over here. You can use that too. For this tutorial, I'll be using a blank template, so let's start with a blank template. Okay, so if let me minimize this and let me close this index page. If you see, I have a ARM web core. I have three files. I have a Azure deploy.json file, and I have a Azure deploy.parameter.json. The third one is a PowerShell script, which will help you to deploy both the above files. But for this tutorial, we are not using PowerShell, so we would be using CI/CD. Okay, let's open this Azure deploy.json. Okay, so we have the resources, output, variables, parameter. So what exactly we want to do? We want to launch Azure web app. Okay, so I'll just click on this toolbar, JSON outline. I'll just pin this. I'll just unpin this for more space. On the resource, I'll just click a right click and I'll do a add new resources. Let's wait for a while. Okay, so what are we looking for? We are looking for web app. Here we go. Give a name. I'll name it as web app core. Okay, anything you can give. So before we can go ahead and create a web app, we need to create a service plan as well. So I'll go and click on create a service plan. I'll give the same name to the service plan. I'll add the service plan. Now I'll add the web app. Okay, now in my .json file, if you see, the resource is added. Okay, these are the parameters which is added. We are using the default value f1 for the SKU name. We have the metadata information. We have the variable name. Okay, so this variable name is not needed for me. Why exactly this is? When you're launching a web app, your URL should be unique. So that's why it will concat your web app name with some unique string. So we don't want, because I need some specific domain name. So that's why I'm just removing this variable for now. I'm not using this variable. I just removed it. Now if you see at the bottom, I'm getting 4 errors because I've removed the variable name. We'll be using, on behalf of this variable name, we'll be using a parameter values. Okay, so I'll just replace it with parameters over here too. Looks good, no issues found. Now my resource is looking good, my web app core resource is looking good. Now I need to edit the parameter page because we need to define the parameter. Okay, over here, let's go and define, there are two parameters, web app core name, and we have to define the SKU name. Let's copy this, come back to your parameter page, here double quotes, I'll just give this name, I'll give a name, I'll name it as web app core. Okay, that's it. I'll just add the second parameter too. I'll name it as SKU name. Okay guys, so this is looking good, but these are some generic values what we have defined. The SKU name, if I change it to F1, this will work, but this will, if you have a multi-stage environment, this will not work because we need custom variables over there. These are generic variables, values what we are defining. Okay, so in order to have a custom value, a custom variable wherein we can modify those values while deploying things, so we would need some token. Okay, replace token options what we would be, what we would require. I'll just talk about that a bit. So in order to do that, let's add some prefix and suffix. There's an asterisk. So in between whatever you see, that can be replaced using a replace token. So that's why I'm adding it, adding the values between the asterisk sign. Okay, let's save this. Let's click on build. Let's build this JSON. If everything's work good, then we can proceed by pushing the changes. Okay, why exactly we did this and what are the benefits, we'll talk about when we're creating a release pipeline. Okay, let's open my Git repository. Let's go in my local Git repository, cd web app core. Let's look for git status. We have 2 files to add. Let's add. Let's do a commit. Initial commit. Done. Let's push the change to a repository now. Okay, so change has been pushed to web app core. Coming back, let's refresh this. Okay, we have the required information. We have our ARM template and we have the web application over here. Now let's create a build pipeline in order to build this application. I'll go and click on new pipeline. I'll select my repository. I'll select my project repository name. It's a ASP.NET Core. I'll select this. Okay, so we have the initial default YAML file already added over here. Okay, so I'll just take out this. We don't have a test, as if now we don't have a test in this project, so I'll just take out this is not required. So let me walk you through the YAML file. So we have a trigger in my main branch. We don't have any other branch created. This is the pool what we are using. This we have a solution file which we would be using to build. These are some NuGet installer, and if you see the build step in which we are building the package and we are storing the package at this artifact staging directory location. Let me copy this because we would need this. Okay, let's create some task. Like we would need a copy task in order to copy the ARM templates. Okay, so we need a copy files. The source, the target would be because everything the build is getting created at the staging artifact directory. So that should be a target. The source would be, coming back to solution, this should be a source. This particular ARM web code would be a source. I'll just add that. Contain what all things we want to copy. So we just need this .json files. We don't need this .ps1. Okay. So what exactly? These are Azure deploy.json. So we'll just write Azure deploy. I give a star and .json. So both the files will get copied. Once you're done with this changes, make sure your cursor is at the right place and just click on add. Okay, so we have this task added. Now all my files are there in my staging directory. Let's publish those files to a specific directory now so that we can access. So let's publish build. There's one more task, publish build artifact. Just click on it. The artifact name would be drop. If you want to change the name, you can do it, but not needed. Again, click on, make sure the cursor is at the right place. Click on add. Okay, done. A YAML file is created. So again, we are following a pipeline as a code method. From next time onwards, the developer can make whatever changes he wishes to make. He can directly make those changes to the YAML, and the changes will get implemented. I'll just do a save. So this will directly commit those changes to my main branch itself. Okay. Let me quickly show you the YAML. Now the YAML would be created. See, a YAML is created, the one which we just created. Okay, in my main branch. Now I'll go, and if you want to change this name, you can do it. Let's keep it as it is. Let's run it. So we are running the pipeline. Let me refresh this. Running the pipeline, the job will trigger. It will take around 2 or 3 minutes. Let's wait till that time, and I'll come back once the build is successful. Okay guys, so our pipeline was successful. So let's go and click on the artifact, and let's see what all things we have. Okay, we have a good amount of information over here in the artifact. The three important file what we are looking for, a webapp.zip. This is our web application which we will deploy, and we have our ARM templates. So we have this Azure deploy.json file, and we have the parameter file. Okay, let's go back. So this was successful. Now we'll go ahead and we'll create our release pipeline. Okay, so let's create a new release pipeline. I'll just select Azure App Service Deployment. Let's name it as dev. Let's unidentify error. Let me refresh everything and come back. I don't know why this Azure DevOps board is behaving weird today. Okay, let's click again, new release pipeline. Let's select Azure App Service Deployment. Let's select dev. Okay, let me select my artifact first. I'll select my artifact, that was web app core. I'll add it. I'll select my subscription. I'll select DevOps practice. I have multiple subscription, and how exactly this subscription was created, how exactly we create a service connection. I will come up with a details video how to automatically create a subscription, how to manually create a subscription. So please watch out this channel for more details. Okay, DevOps practice app service name. So we have already defined some app service name. Let's change it now. We want our own custom variables. So there are two variables what we have defined over here, the two parameter values. So I want to change it now. So that is what I'm going to do. Now I'll change it to web app core underscore develop 123. Make sure you, because this would be your app service name, so make sure this is unique. Okay, and there's one more parameter which I want to change, is the SKU name. I'll change it to F1. F1 is the basic, and which is part of a free tier. That's why I'm using F1. You can use whichever you want from the allowed values. Okay. Make sure you check the pricing before you go and use it. Okay. Now in the app service name, I'll be using this same variable what we have defined. In order to use the variable, this is the way: $, open and close bracket, inside it you give the variable name. Done. Now I need ARM template task, so I'll just go and search for ARM template, click add. I'll just move this above. Okay, now okay, one important thing, we have updated the app service name over here, and if you see at the deploy Azure app service, this got automatically linked, and the package folder which we are using is .zip. So I showed you that we have a web.zip created in my artifact, so that the same file we are calling over here. Okay, just an FYI. In ARM, I'll just click and select the same devopsmela practice, and I'll use the same pay as you go subscription. Resource group, I'll be calling the same with the same name. I'll be creating a resource group, and if you want a separate one, you can again create a new one, or you can define the variable. It's totally up to you. Location, let's keep it East US, and if you want to change, even this location can be defined in ARM templates. In future, if you want to define, even that is possible. I'll give the template linked artifact. I'll just give the template path. So the template part is Azure deploy.json, and I'll give the parameter path. Okay, .json. So my ARM template is done. My deploy Azure app service is done. Now, guys, if you remember, we have used this token. Okay, so and we have defined a different variable now. So if you want to replace this value, we have to use a replace token task now. Replace token task. I'm able to see this inside my list. If you're not able to see it, you have to go ahead and deploy it. Okay, install it on your Azure DevOps. I'll just click add. I'll take this at the top. Root directory, I'll select drop location as my root directory. Config, what are we replacing? We're replacing this .json. Just copy this. I'll put it over here. Now at the top bottom, if you click on advanced, you see this token prefix and token suffix. So we have just used the asterisk sign. So I'll go and remove this curly braces. This is not needed for us. I'll just rename this web core app release. Okay, so my pipeline is ready now. I'll click OK. Now everything is ready. I have all the required tasks. I'll go and click on create release. On my dev, this is the only environment what I have right now. This is the version. I'll go and click, and I'll click on release 1. So my task is running right now. Again, it will, because this is the first time we are doing it, so it will take around 2 to 3 minutes. So let's hold on till that, and I'll come back once the deployment is successful. And before that, if you go and see my portal, I have no resources inside it. It's totally empty. Okay, let's come back. Okay guys, so this pipeline was successful and all my 3 tasks were successful. Now if I just go and check the replace token, so it has replaced 2 tokens out of 2. That was good. And if we check the ARM template, successfully deployed, so it has deployed the ARM resources successfully, and even the deployment was successful. And if you see at the bottom, this is the name what we gave, and our web page should be up. Let's go and check if it is up. Then we'll go and check the resources on the Azure portal. Welcome to ARM web page. This is up. This is looking good. Going to the portal, let's refresh this all resources. So yes, we have the service plan and we have the web application up and running. Okay, so we have the URL, the same URL what we just saw, and this is the F1 SKU, the one which we just pinned. Okay, so this was one. So this is something we deployed in development environment. Suppose there's a requirement that the same deployment should happen in multiple environments. Okay, now let's go back and let's edit this pipeline again, and let's clone this task. Okay, over here it's doing selecting after stage. After stage is an option, a trigger option Once the dev is successful, this will get deployed. Okay, but we'll keep it manual for now, and I'll rename it to stage environment. So now we are following multiple environments methodology over here. Okay, everything remains same. We are not making any changes over here. This will remain exactly same. The only thing would be the scoping of variables now. Okay, so this is an important topic. As if now, if you see this was scoped to release, because we had only one environment, so I have not focused on this. Now I'll just change it to dev. I'll keep both to dev. Now I'll create few more. I'll just copy this again. I'll put it over here. I'll copy this name also. This time I'll change the develop to stage. This was a benefit. This was a benefit which I was talking about. If you have the token replacement thing right over here. Okay, that's why we were using token replacement. I'll keep it F1. I'll make sure that the scope is only for stage environment. So when the stage pipeline will run, then only this particular variable should get called. I'll save it. Go back to pipelines, create release. I'll make it dev as manual trigger. I don't want dev to run again. We have already seen the deployment in dev environment over here. And again, if even though if you're running a dev environment deployment, we'll have an incremental change setup done. Okay, if I see over here, come down, deployment mode, we have incremental. So if there's an incremental change in your template, only that will get deployed. If you're using complete, everything will get destroyed, existing, and whatever changes you have, whatever resources you have in your next version of ARM template, that will get deployed. And this is only for validation purpose. If you want to have more information, just go ahead and check this article. Okay, let me discard it, go back to pipeline, let me deploy it. So what are we expecting? We are expecting a stage URL, a different application web server now. Let's go and deploy it. Let's come back again when the things gets deployed. So guys, even the stage environment was successful. If I go and check my deploy Azure service now, I have my stage URL right over here. Let's go and check it. Let's click on enter and see. Okay, so welcome to my ARM page. So we have two URLs. Let's go and check the resources. Let's refresh this. I have stage service plan and I have develop service plan. That's it from this video. Hello all and welcome to my channel devopsmela. So in this video tutorial we'll talk about agent pool. So till now the agent pool which we were using throughout this tutorial, throughout this series, we were using Azure Pipelines. Okay, so we didn't had our own agent pool. So this Azure pipeline is good when you're putting resources on all Azure cloud. What if you have data centers, all your servers on data center, and you don't want to spend money on Azure pipelines? You have sufficient VMs wherein you can set up your own agent pool. So we'll set up our own agent pool in this tutorial. So if you guys are new to my channel, please subscribe and please like, share and comment. Okay, let's start. I'll be using my Windows machine, my local Windows machine, and I'll make it as a agent. Okay, same thing, same set of commands will definitely work on whether you're using on a Windows server. You can use the same set of commands. Okay, let's go ahead and see it. So we'll be using a Microsoft documentation for the same. Microsoft agent pool, just type Microsoft agent pool and you should get the documentation. Okay, here we go. So there are multiple options. Microsoft hosted agents, which we already saw. Azure Pipeline is a Microsoft hosted agent. If you want a self-hosted Linux agent, you can go in this option, Mac OS agent and Windows agent. So in this tutorial, I'm covering Windows agent. So let's go and select that. There are a few prerequisites, which is very minimal, like your Windows should be Windows 7, 8.1 or 10 if you're using a client OS. On a server, it should be 2008 or higher. PowerShell should be 3.0 or higher, and you should have a .NET Framework 4.6.2 or higher. So all this just make sure you met this prerequisite before moving ahead. Okay, so in my local system I have all this prerequisite met, so I'm just going ahead. Okay, so firstly we'll just go in the Azure DevOps portal, go in project settings. I'll go in agent pool. I'll create my own agent pool first. I'll create a new one. There are two options: self-hosted, Azure, virtual machine skill set. So we'll select self-hosted. I'll give a name as Rohit PC so that I can identify I'm using my own agent pool. Description, just give the same description. Grant access, I'm granting this agent pool permission to all my pipelines created. Okay, I think I've used this name, so let's not use this name again. We'll delete this. Let me create Rohit PC. Just let's Rohit PC. Okay, this is blank. This looks good. Now I'll click on new agent. So over here you get an option Windows, Mac OS and Linux. As we are referring to Windows, I'll go and refer Windows itself. You have to download this agent. I've already downloaded. I have this file in my download location. So make sure this is in the download location. I'll tell you the reason why exactly. Copy this and put it over here. Now we'll run this first command in my PowerShell. This is nothing but it is creating a agent directory and it is just changing the directory into agent. It's moving into agent directory. That's it. Nothing much. I'm in C drive right now. I'll just go and run this command. Okay, so right now I'm in agent directory. So let's move in the agent directory. I will show what exactly happened in the backend. Second, if you read this command, we are just adding the assembly name, system IO compression, file system, and we have the zip file. We are extracting the zip file. From where we are exactly extracting? We are extracting from home downloads. So that's why I said if you're downloading, make sure it is in download directory, or you have to go ahead and make changes over here. Okay, and this is the file. It's already there in my download location. You want to see it. Here we go. This is the file which is already present. So I just copy this entire thing from here. I'll run it in my PowerShell. See, I got the binaries and I got two config and a run created, and I have my external folders created over here. So this has all the binaries and all the information right over here. Now there are two more commands. Let me just copy that and keep it. I have this config command to run to configure my agent, and I have this run command to start my services. Okay, that's it. Let's close this. I don't need this now. So this command is already done and it was successful. Let's go and see what all information we have in the folder. So we have the binaries, external folder, and we have the config and okay, things looking good right now. Now let's go and run the config command. Okay, it is asking for a URL. This is the URL, your Azure DevOps URL. I'll get that. I'll put it again. Now it is asking for the authentication type. So it's asking press enter for PAT. So PAT is nothing but its personal access token. So we need to generate that first. Let's go back. Click over here. User settings, personal access token. Let's create a new token. Let's name it as Rohit PC itself. Expiration, you can select your expiration. You can customize all the scopes and you can give the required permissions. But for now, I'll just give full access and I'll click on create. I'll copy this PAT token. In case if you forgot to copy, or if somehow you have not copied it, if you want, you can just come back over here. You can regenerate your token. Okay, the previous one will get wiped out and the new token will be generated. Okay, let me paste this token right over here. We may use it multiple times. Coming back to this screen, I'll just hit enter. I'll put the token. Okay, it is asking for an agent pool name. Okay, if I just hit enter, it will select default as my agent pool name, but we have created an agent pool, so I will give a name, but I'll show you default before that. So if I just hit enter, this particular agent pool, my agent will start running in this particular pool. Okay, but I don't want to do that. I have created Rohit PC as an agent pool, so I'll just give that name, Rohit PC. Agent name, I'll just repeat the same name. Scanning for tool capabilities. So let's wait for a while. It will hardly take 5-10 minutes. Sorry, seconds. Enter work folder underscore work, that is totally fine. Enter perform and unzip for task for each step not required. Enter run agent as service. So if I select yes, okay, it will start running. This agent pool will start running as a service on my local system. This option is valid if you are hosting an agent pool on a dedicated VM virtual machine. On my local system, I'm just for this demo, I'm creating it. Later I'll just remove it, so I don't need this for now. I'll just hit enter and enter configuration auto login and run agent on startup. Again, not needed for my local machine. This option is valid when you are running this on a dedicated host. Okay, this is completed. My agent pool is still not running because we have selected no Azure option. So I'll just run this command so that my agent will start. Listening and we can run our pipelines. Scanning for tool capabilities. Connecting to server, listening for jobs. Okay, now let's go and test our agent pool now. Go to pipeline. This is one of my build pipeline for SQL DB build. I'll edit this. I'll go and change the agent pool as if now it is Azure Pipelines. Now in my drop down I have Rohit PC as well. I've selected that. I'll save and immediately I'll run it and check whether my agent pool is running or not. So if you see, I'm getting an output running job agent job 1. So agent job 1 is running right now. Let's see. So my build is successful now and I'm getting a prompt job agent job 1 completed with results succeeded. Okay, now I'll go back and see the same agent pool. We can use it even in a release pipeline. So I'll just go and modify this. I can select my release pipeline. My task will not work because I don't have this DAC database servers up and running, but my connection will get established. If I want, I can just go ahead and click on create release and I'll start my release pipeline. It's in queue right now. Now let's see if we are getting any message over here. Okay, running job, agent job started. So this agent job has started and it will get succeeded or it will fail depending upon what all task I have, what I have. Okay, even my release pipeline was successful using my agent pool. So if I go and see, this is the agent pool what we have used. That was my agent name. Okay, let me go ahead and remove it. So once my work is done, because this is hosted on a local system, I will go and stop this agent pool. Do a control C. Yes, terminate. Now if I go back, there's a command to remove this complete setup. So I'll just go back and run this command now. Remove. It will ask for authentication again, so we'll use the same pat token. So the same pat token. Okay, remove succeeded. So that's it from this video tutorial. If you like it, please share and subscribe. Thank you. Goodbye.